When sworn in, Your Honor, you may be seated.
Your last name is?
Ham.
Mr. Ham, you can have a seat, please, because you have no personal knowledge of this, even though you co-signed for your daughter for a loan on this car that's still being paid off. But she knows what's going on here. You may be impacted, but you have no first-hand knowledge. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Ham, this used to be your boyfriend.
That's right.
And you have 2 children together.
That's correct.
Your last child with him was born in 2004.
That's right.
It is your claim that he took your car without permission on the day that your last child was born and he wrecked it.
That's right.
You want him to pay for the damage to the car because your father co-signed for the car. You're still paying off the car. The car was totaled. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
And the insurance company disclaimed because he did not have a driver's license.
That's right.
And Mr. Barrett says that you have to really take that up with your insurance company.
Yes.
Insurance company should not have disclaimed. But there are some facts that are sort of interesting. You say he took your car without your permission.
That's right.
I'm not sure I believe that. Not that that's necessarily dispositive of what happens here today, but I like the truth right from the beginning.
Okay.
The 2 of you were living together.
On and off, yes.
You were living together. You had 2 children together. You were living together.
At that time, yes.
All right. And at the time that you went to the hospital, who drove you to the hospital?
Mac.
There we go. So he had your permission to drive your car.
To the hospital.
He had your permission to drive your car.
At that point.
Now, Miss Ham, the day before he went to work, is that right?
Yes.
And how did he get to work?
His vehicle, or the vehicle he drove, which was a 95 Escort.
Didn't take your car.
No.
Never took your car.
No.
Is that right, sir?
No.
Of course it's not.
It is correct.
No.
The only 2 times he drove it was when I was in the vehicle with him. He's never taken it ever by himself prior to that date. Ever.
Is that right, Mr. Barrett?
No.
Of course not. When you share a bed together and you share 2 children together, I don't believe, as I said, it's not necessarily dispositive, but I don't like fibbers.
Oh, I'm not fibbing.
I don't like fibbers. But even so, you gave him permission, you gave him the keys to take you to the hospital that day, and he drove your car. Later on, Mr. Barrett decided to take the car out again. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
How did you expect the car to get from the hospital back home?
Well, my dad arranged to watch our children because he was going to stay in the hospital the entire time and drive me home. Me and the baby.
You mean he was going to stay there overnight?
Right, the entire time.
Wasn't going to go out to eat?
He wasn't going to go to work.
He wasn't going to go to work, wasn't going to go to eat,
No.
wasn't going, but so he took you. Also, don't believe that.
Well, I'm sorry. That's the point. He left me there without a car seat for my child.
Listen to me. The only problem that I have with your testimony, Miss Ham, is that I don't like when you start out not telling me the truth. And the truth is, he took the car to the hospital. He drove you to the hospital. He had your permission to take the car. He had the keys to the car with your permission, and then he took the car out again. What happened after that is his fault. But don't start out telling a judge not the whole truth, because then we begin to hold suspect everything that you say. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. I understand that you want your money. Lying is not the way to get it.
I don't feel that I'm lying.
Well, you are. Because he had permission to drive your car, and your complaint said he had no permission. He had your permission to drive the car, and it wasn't limited to just taking you to the hospital, because when you're in labor going to the hospital, you didn't say to him, you only have permission to drive me to the hospital and drop me off there. You may not take the car out again for any other, because that doesn't work. Not when you're going to deliver a baby.
He's lying when he says he's drove my van. He never has.
I don't
he had
believe
a
that.
95 Escort that he drove.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that during the time you had the car, he didn't need the car once in a while when his car wasn't working. When his car was in repair, he drove your car, he drove you and your child in the car out for other things. When was your license suspended, sir?
8 days prior.
What was it suspended for?
A previous accident that someone had sued me, and I didn't realize that if you didn't pay a debt that was involved in an accident, it was like $500 that they could take your license in our state.
And how were you notified that they took your license?
By mail.
Who opened the mail?
I believe I did.
Did you tell Miss Ham that your license was suspended?
Yes, she knew.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said, did you tell her?
Yes, I told her.
Okay, so at the time she gave you the keys to the car to drive you to the hospital, according to you, she knew that your license was suspended.
Yes, we was trying to figure out, because I was calling from the hospital trying to figure out why they were suspended, because I still wasn't for sure why.
Okay, now we get to what's your fault. So you took her to the hospital, your baby was born. When did you decide to go drinking?
After I left work.
The next day?
No, we was at the hospital all day, and I left from the hospital. I was there all that day, and then I left from the hospital to go to work that evening.
Had the baby been born yet?
Yes.
Did you say goodbye to her?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And you only had one car at the hospital?
Yes.
Said goodbye, you looked at the baby, played coochie-coo?
Yes.
So after work, instead of going back to the hospital, you decided to go get drunk. And you got drunk, and you drove the car, and you were in an accident.
Yes.
And you spent the next 18 months in jail?
Yes.
So that answers my next question, which is why it took so long for you to get here to file your claim. But do you understand what I mean, Miss Ham, when you start out by telling a fib?
I mean, I understand.
You
I do.
understand? Good. So he went to work. There's no question in my mind that he stayed with you in the hospital till the baby was born. And then he came to say goodbye, that he was going out, that he said goodbye to you, so you knew he wasn't going out by foot. You knew he was taking the car. Got it?
Yes.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She didn't get you down on the floor before you left the hospital and open up your mouth, hold your nose, and pour down a bottle of Grey Goose down your throat, did she?
I prefer absolute, but no.
And later today,
Are you both nuts? Are you really both crazy? It would never dawn on me over this kind of thing to sue a child.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Ham says the father of her children, Mac Barrett, had no driver's license when he stole her minivan and crashed it. Mac claims Kimberly gave him permission to drive it.
Yeah. I want you to show me proof that the insurance company disclaimed on this claim when he totaled the car. They disclaimed on the ground that you didn't have a valid driver's license.
Also, when I got home from the hospital, I had to stay at my dad's for a day because he had the only set of keys, which were mine, that had our apartment key on there, and I couldn't get into our apartment. And then I checked the mail. That's when I found the suspended license validation in the mail.
So the insurance company declined coverage, and the policyholder was you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, your own insurance company declined your policy, sir, on the car that's in her name.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Car has to be in both your names in order for you to have an insurable interest in it. Can I see the title to the car, please?
We don't have the title. It's not paid off. I'm still making payments on it and not being able to drive it.
I'm just surprised that the insurance company allowed him to insure the car if he had no insurable interest in the car. I'm going back to my Insurance 101 in law school. Okay. Now, Mr. Barrett.
Yes.
You want to explain to me why you think that you have no responsibility with regard to this car that she's still paying off that cost $17,000?
Well, for one, I mean, I had permission to drive the vehicle.
You did. I find that you had permission to drive the vehicle. And I find that she had knowledge of the fact that you didn't have a driver's license. Neither one of those things contributed to your accident.
Okay.
You agree with that?
No.
Well, let me ask you this question, sir. Did the fact that you had a suspended driver's license cause you to have an accident?
No.
What caused you to have an accident?
Drinking.
Right. Now, she didn't get you down on the floor before you left the hospital and open up your mouth, hold your nose, and pour down a bottle of Grey Goose down your throat, did she?
I prefer absolute, but no.
Absolute. Cute, but no cigar. She didn't do that to you, did you? You did that all by yourself.
Yes.
And that was the proximate cause of your accident. Your drinking. Not the fact that you had a suspended driver's license. You didn't have an accident and started driving her to the hospital, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So what's the proximate cause of your accident? What did the law find, sir?
Drinking and driving.
That's it. Beyond a reasonable doubt, for which you spent 18 long months in jail because it wasn't your first one. Couldn't have been your first one. Some judge was good and fed up with you. How many DUIs had you had?
One prior.
How much injury was caused to the other side in the one that you had back in 2004?
I'm not exactly for sure. They was injured.
And they weren't injured because you had a suspended driver's license, were they?
No.
They were injured because you were drunk.
Yeah.
Do you see your children?
Yes.
How often?
Every other weekend.
Do you support them?
Yes.
How much?
$140 a week.
How much do you earn?
I bring home $342 a week.
Have you made any effort to help Miss Ham and her father with regard to this debt that they incurred because of you?
No, they won't even let me see the van. I haven't even seen it. When I asked to see the van, she said it was on private property.
You have the bill to have it fixed?
It's totaled.
Can I see it?
Yes. I have pictures and then where.
You have a statement that indicates it's totaled?
Yes, I have the vehicle pricing and the estimate where it was done. My dad took care of that, so if you have any questions, he's the one that took care of the estimate.
Just show this to him, would you please? How many other cars did you hit?
Just one.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm pleased that he'll have to pay for the damage that he caused to the van.
What can I say?
I've had to pay on the van for the last 2 years and not be able to drive it.
Didn't feel, that I was fully responsible, so whatever. She's going to decide what she wants to decide.
She basically owes $12,000 on the van that she'll continue to pay on, and Mr. Barrett will have nothing. He'll have no responsibility.
I mean, it bothers me a little bit, but what can you do?
I would just like to move on from this, and hopefully Mr. Barrett can do the proper thing in the future and take care of his children.
We'll work out with the children.
Oh, our kids will be perfect.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of X-Line versus Pace. Step forward.
Laurel X-Line is suing her son, 21-year-old Derek Pace, for damaging her four-wheeler. Derek claims the damage occurred due to mechanical failure.
Miss Exline, the defendant is your son,
Yes, ma'am.
and your lawsuit claims that he came out for a visit. You live in where?
Sholo, Arizona.
And you come from?
Texas, Del Rio.
So he traveled from Texas to Arizona for a visit.
Yes, ma'am.
And when he got there, he rode a four-wheeler
Yes, ma'am.
that you bought, and it is your claim that he broke it. You want him to pay to have it fixed.
Yes, ma'am.
Your son says that he didn't break it. It was already broken, he thinks. But certainly he didn't break it. And he's counterclaiming because he says he was so uncomfortable and it was so tense after he had this accident on the four-wheeler that he went home, and he wants you to pay the expenses for his travel round trip because he didn't have a good time. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you both nuts? Are you really both crazy?
No, ma'am, it's more about responsibility and respect. I mean, when they came back with the four-wheeler, I have MS, and I was diagnosed 3 years ago, and that four-wheeler is my lifeline. I use that four-wheeler for everything. I use it to feed my horse. I use it to water my
Then you
horse.
shouldn't have let him ride it. Miss Exline, how many children do you have?
One.
You have one child that
Yes.
you're suing? I mean, I quite frankly, I don't get it. I mean, my children have taken my cars and had accidents. I had a story once, Miss Exline. One of my children, after the car went over an embankment into a little ditch, tried to tell me that the earth opened up because of severe rain. And that's how the car slid down the side of the road. You know that child. It didn't work. I mean, the story didn't work, but I didn't sue him. I mean, I used that car to get to work, and I really needed it as my lifeline. But it would never dawn on me over this kind of thing to sue a child.
I think it was all the attitude that was taken when it happened, like that it was nothing. It was not his fault. It was not his responsibility. Why was I crying? It was
He
just
said
a
it
big.
wasn't his fault.
Right.
He didn't say it wasn't his responsibility. He said it wasn't his fault. that
Well, he
do
didn't feel
anything-
like it was his responsibility either.
Because he says in his answer that he didn't do anything to cause the damage to the four-wheeler.
Well, I have photos here of when they took off on the four-wheeler, the day they took off, and I have photos of when it was taken off to the repair shop.
Well, of course, because there was an accident with it, but he said he didn't cause the accident. The accident happened as a result of a mechanical defect.
Well, I think you can look at the pictures and it will tell the story.
I don't think it's going to tell the story, madam, but I want your son to tell me what happened when you took out the four-wheeler.
Well, we took it out. We got there the night previously, and the next morning we woke up and she told us that she wanted to take her four-wheeler out and take it up in the mountains, go see the snow and all that kind of stuff. So we took it out, and we realized we were kind of running out of gas. We were trying to find the road because we'd lost our way on the way back through the mountains. And then I realized that the back wheel was you could feel the back end of the four-wheeler sliding. And I stopped to look at it, and the back wheel, the axle had broken off, and the wheel was messed up.
Is it possible that you went over a rock? Is that possible?
It's possible.
Possible you went over a log?
Possible.
Is it possible that as a result of doing that, the axle broke? It's possible.
Possible.
Sure, a lot of things are possible. Is it
If I
possible?
borrowed your car, I would fix it if I tore it up.
Well, if I borrowed your car and through no fault of my own that I knew about, that I was aware of, something happened mechanically and I was in an accident and I was injured, I would sue you. And you better have insurance on that car. So unless you have, Miss Exline, some proof, and that would have to be by virtue of someone who was an expert in four-wheelers, that something that this young man did caused that damage.
I have a statement.
I don't take statements.
I have the photos of before and after.
I'll take a look at the photos.
This is them when they were starting out on their journey. And then that was after it was damaged. He has entirely his whole life, he's the only child, and I did not pursue my career. I was in the military for 8 years, and I did not pursue my career when I got out of the military to be at home with him and spend time with him and to be a good mother. And he was in private schools. He had the best of everything, and I think that it's time that he takes responsibility for his actions.
Miss Exline, you don't get payback from children for doing the right thing. That's what you're supposed to do as a mother. You're supposed to sacrifice and make sure that your children have things that you didn't have, and make sure that they have a better education than you had. And if it involved you staying home, not having a career, that doesn't necessarily make you a better mother than somebody who works, has a career, and tries to be a good mother at the same time. So you don't get payback for whatever sacrifices you think you made for your children. I certainly would never, and certainly under these circumstances where I have no proof that this was caused by something other than a defect in the four-wheeler that happened serendipitously at the time that he drove it. And it may have been that they went over a rock, but certainly they didn't purposely do anything. He doesn't look like a nut, do anything to put themselves and his wife in harm's way. I don't know what your problem is, but I'm speaking. But your problem should not be resolved in a court. Now, Mr. Pace, if you weren't having a good time with your mother's house, you had several options. You could leave, or you could not leave. You also don't bring that sort of nonsense to a court. Courts are very busy. Certain things have to be left to be resolved within a family. This is one of them. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused.
Now, this is case number 384 on the calendar in the matter of McDonald versus Podany. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Who is this?
This is Joan.
I don't know who
Joan Podany. She's a witness to the assault.
That's your wife?
That's my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife.
Soon-to-be ex-wife.
Yes.
Mr. McDonald, your complaint alleges that the defendant assaulted you. And he assaulted you because he believed that you were messing around with his wife. You want your bills paid, your medical bills, your dental bill. Mr. Podany said he was sort of defending himself because you went after him first. And his honor. Let's see. You weren't arrested for this assault, sir?
No, I wasn't.
Lucky. Okay, Mr. McDonald, how do you and the defendant's wife know each other?
I've worked with her for 6 years. She also is a friend.
Tell me when this assault took place.
The assault took place September 16, 2006. It took place at my place of work. Me and Joan went to get something to eat. We returned...
What time?
At 5:30.
After the place closed?
After work, yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I do hair for a living.
So after work, the place closed down and you and the defendant's wife went out for dinner. Is this the first time you did that?
No, I have worked with Joan for 6 years.
So you've gone out for dinner before?
She's been a manager at a business I owned before. So yes, we've gone out to eat before.
Nothing else, just dinner?
Just dinner.
Ever anything else other than just dinner?
No, just dinner.
Went out for dinner, that was about 5:30. What time did you get back?
6:30.
And you, I assume, came back, you went in one car?
Yes, went in my truck.
You were coming back to pick up her car?
Correct.
That's the scene. Tell me what happened.
We pulled up in the parking lot where I work. As I pulled up, I saw that Mike was in the parking lot also.
Had you met him before?
I've known Mike for most of that 6 years also, to the point of actually playing cards and stuff together. Pulled up, I saw Mike starting to walk towards my truck. When he got up next to my truck, I rolled down my window. Mike punched me through my truck window. I then ended up trying to get out of the vehicle. I was unable to get out of the vehicle because he kept shutting the vehicle. So I went over the passenger seat, got out of the vehicle, asked him what was up. His response was that I was messing around with his wife. We told him that we had gone out to eat. I actually had the food container from going out to eat in my vehicle. I gave that to him. Shortly after, the police responded to the scene, asked what...
Who called the police?
I think a witness in the parking lot called the police. They responded fairly fast. They separated all three parties.
Everybody shouting at everybody else?
No, it wasn't that. They just separated. There was actually 3 squads that showed up on the scene. They separated Joan, Mike,
Where
and
was
myself.
Joan?
Joan was with me during this time. She was in the passenger seat, so she also had to go out. She was there when the police showed up. The police asked me if I had been assaulted. I said I had. They asked me what I wanted to do about it, if they wanted to charge Mike. I had said no. But I did tell them, at the time I thought I was going to lose a tooth that was already a fake tooth, so I knew it was going to cost me money. So I told him if I lose my tooth, I'd like to have him pay for it. And I also asked the police to let him know not to come around me anymore from that point on. Hindsight, I wish I would have pressed charges at that time. At the time that that happened, I did not, because I knew that that would potentially cause some trouble for their home. Plus, I know that Mike had some potential trouble in the past, and I did not know if that was going to create a bigger problem than what they already had. But since that time, the stitches came out to be the amount that I'm suing for, the $21.29.
How many stitches
I
did
ended
you
up
have to
with 8 stitches in the front and 2 in my mouth.
Where?
Right there. I have a scar from it.
Well, it all started back when I asked my wife if they've been messing around, and she said, no, they haven't. And then she tells me that she's not in love with me anymore. She told me that night that she's working until 6:30. So we were supposed to go out. We had an engagement to go out on a buddy's yacht to go boating. I called her up. She didn't answer the phone. I called her cell phone. She didn't answer that either. I thought maybe she's just cleaning up, so I thought I'd swing out there and help her clean up.
What time was she due home, sir?
6:30.
So you swung out to see if you could help her clean up.
Right. And the place is all locked up, closed up, and her car's sitting out in the parking lot.
What time did you get there?
It must have been about 5:45.
So you waited.
So I waited, and I called her on the phone. Of course, she didn't answer. Next thing I know, they pull up together in his truck. I walked up to the truck. I was mad. I was angry at what's been going on because I've been accusing her, actually these two, of for a while now. And I walked up to his truck, and I thought he was going to, since I was mad and angry, I thought he was going to kick the door at me, so I grabbed it, and when he rolled down the window, I punched him. So I'm, defending my family, trying to protect it. And
No, you're not.
I think I was. And now they're together.
Well, but you're not, sir. You're not allowed to do that. Even if they were doing more than just having dinner after work, you're not allowed to put your hands on somebody else.
I know I'm not supposed to hit them, and
So
I know
why
it
did
was
you do
wrong,
it?
but
How many other people
know.
have you hit when you got angry?
none.
You've been in trouble with the law before?
Yes.
For what?
Fraud.
Nothing other than fraud?
No.
Is it a long time ago or recently?
A long time ago.
Okay, what kind of work do you do, Mr. Padani?
I do home inspections.
You have children?
Yes, I have 4.
How long are you married?
10 years.
How old are your children?
I have a 9-year-old with Joan, and I have 2 20-year-olds and a 17-year-old.
With your former wife?
Right.
How long you divorced from your former wife?
15 years.
Was it your idea or her idea?
Both.
So you fell out of love with each other.
Right.
You fell out of love with each other.
Right. And then I raised those 3 kids.
Good. I mean, that's nice. But you fell out of love with each other, because
Right.
that happens. You understood that happens.
Right.
You didn't beat her up, did you, because she fell out of love with
No.
you? She didn't beat you up because you fell out of love with her?
No.
Right?
Never hit a woman.
But it happens.
It happens.
It happens.
It does. It happens.
Happens. She doesn't say that you have the right to hit him.
No, I'm not proud of hitting him, but
Fine, so then you have to take care of his bills. How much were your bills?
The medical bills were $21.29. I had to have the truck cleaned out. That was $175. The clothes I was wearing was $125, and I missed a day's work following the incident, which was $500.
I was told he didn't miss any work.
Whether he missed any work or not, sir, he's not even suing you for pain and suffering, which he should. Absolutely should. You have no right to put your hands on somebody else. He's suing you for $29.29, which is nothing. If he would have sued you for $5,000, I would have given it to him. What?
Since then, I've had to get a restraining order against him because he's actually contacted my ex-wife to find out where I live.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You moved on once? You survived?
Move on again.
How old are you?
41.
41. You're a baby. I got a son 42 years old. He's never been married once. You're looking for wife number 3. Tell me your secret.
And later today,
Do you have a gambling problem?
No.
You have a drug problem?
No.
Your aunt says it was about $150,000 that you blew.
She's correct.
I just want to cry, Judge.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mac McDonald says his friend's estranged husband, Mike Padani, assaulted him in the parking lot at his work.
Mr. McDonald, your complaint alleges that he owes you $29.29. There's no question you're going to get that. I was just gratuitously throwing in that you're entitled to pain and suffering as well. Mr. Padani is lucky that he didn't spend 6 months in jail for assault. I mean, it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Time to move on.
Time to move on.
Yeah.
You moved on once. You survived.
Move on again.
You're going to move on again. And believe me, how old are you?
41.
41. You're a baby. I got a son 42 years old. He's never been married once. You're looking for wife number 3. Tell me your secret. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,929. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out, sir. Wait here, sir. Out the back door to your right.
It did feel good. But then, of course, he got out of the truck and hit me.
No, I didn't hit him back.
I apologized to him right after I did hit him.
He's always been very possessive.
Well, they've been kind of messing around for a while now.
The defendant does have an anger issue.
When he was saying that I spoke to his wife, I actually ran into her at a bar, and she was telling me that's why they got divorced, because of those two.
He and his first wife had issues, so I think he just kind of carried it over into our relationship.
I'm happy it's done. Time to move on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ernest versus Kennedy, step forward, please.
Karen Ernest is suing her nephew, 26-year-old Nicholas Kennedy, for a loan to get his Mustang fixed.
Mr. Kennedy, this is your aunt?
Yes.
That's your mother's sister?
Yes.
Parents are dead?
Yes.
Your aunt tells me that you inherited a lot of money.
I inherited a trust fund from my grandmother when she passed away.
You still have the money?
My aunt is in control of my trust fund, yes.
How old are you?
26.
How much money do you get from the trust fund?
There was a total of $50,000.
So how much income do you get from that every year?
I actually do not know, Judge. My aunt is in full control of it. She's the trustee of the trust fund until I'm 35.
Well, there has to be income that's paid out periodically. How much income is paid out to him?
Judge Judy, due to financial issues with Nicholas over the past few years, before the passing of his grandmother, I sat down with her and her attorney, and we came up with an idea that the only way that Nicholas will ever have any money in the future was to set the age limit of 35 for him to get the money.
And the income is reinvested?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is what the case is about. I just have to get a little bit of a picture of the family. You don't mind, Miss Ernest, do you?
No, Judge.
Because one gets the sense from reading these papers that you adored him, and he disappointed you. You made him, according to you, a loan to have his car fixed, and he promised he would pay you back.
Yes.
It was a relatively small loan.
Very small.
So I don't think that it's the money necessarily that's the issue.
You're absolutely right. It's the principle.
Right. And he hasn't paid you back.
Not a dime.
When did you take the money from your aunt to fix the car?
It was in the end of July, beginning of August of 2006.
What was wrong with your car?
The rotors, the heat shield, and the calipers were completely shot, as well as the bearings. It basically sounded like it was a bag of tin cans in the back of my car.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Kennedy?
I'm a blackjack dealer at a casino in central New York.
Do you have a gambling problem?
No.
You have a drug problem?
No.
How long have you been a blackjack dealer?
2 years.
You get paid reasonable money?
Roughly $30,000 a year.
You support anyone other than yourself?
I have my daughter to support, yes.
How old is she?
2 years old.
Does she live with you?
No.
How much do you send her for support?
$310 a month.
Are you current?
Yes.
Do they take it out of your pay?
Yes.
That's why you're current. Good. So how come you were in such dire straits that you needed money from your aunt?
At the time, my wife and I were talking about a separation, and I spoke with my aunt. My aunt has a great deal of dislike for my wife, and she was very happy at the sound of my wife and I separating. At the time, I was...
Does she dislike her because of things that you've told her about your wife?
No.
She just decided that you didn't like her on her own?
Yeah, I believe something happened way back in the beginning in 2002 when we first got together, and things just kind of escalated from there.
Whose fault was it, without going into the story?
I really don't know. I don't even know all the details myself.
Go ahead. So?
I was in some financial trouble, and...
Why?
I was only working part-time at that point, and I needed some assistance with getting the separation going, and when I spoke to my aunt about the separation, she told me she'd help me in any other way she could possibly help me. And I also
Has she done that before?
Yes, she has.
So she's been supportive of you since you were born?
Correct. And I mentioned to her that I was having car problems, but I didn't have the money to fix my car at that time. She then offered to help me get my car fixed. Not once did she tell me that this was a loan or that I'd have to pay her back, just that she would help me get my car fixed so that I could have it back on the road. It was my only vehicle. My wife had her own vehicle at the time as well.
Now, when did she ask you for the money back, Mr. Kennedy?
Since then, I've only had 1 or 2 conversations with her in 6 months, and about a couple of weeks ago, out of the blue, I got a letter.
When for the first time did she ask you for the money back?
She has not asked me for the money back.
Is that right, Miss Ernest?
Incorrect.
Go ahead.
I made numerous telephone calls to Nicholas, his only cell phone that he had, and he never returned any calls whatsoever.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with him in either July or August.
Initially, I was contacted by Nicholas August 1st, 2006. He says that he has problems with his car. It's the only vehicle he has to get to work, and he can't afford to get it fixed. I told him I want nothing to do with trying to help him anymore because
Why? Tell me why.
Just so many financial issues in the past. Him and his wife have a bankruptcy already on them, 6 months into the marriage. They just can't rub two nickels together. They can't save a dime, and I didn't believe he was going to have any way to pay me back. So it's a lost cause. He begged and pleaded with me that he really needs to have his car fixed. It's the only way he can get to work. During that conversation, he also stated that they were in the process of selling their home and separating, that they were closing the end of August, and he promised out of the closing of the house that he would pay me back.
Did you sell your house?
Yes, I did.
When?
It was at the end of August.
How much equity did you have in your house?
We sold just the house, the furniture. We took all the furniture with us, but the house itself sold for $32,000.
That doesn't give me the answer. How much equity did you have in the house? Did you have a mortgage?
No.
So you had $32,000?
Correct.
Where's the money?
We used the money to pay back my wife's car loan, and then the rest of the money we invested into a new apartment for us. Getting new furniture, getting ourselves reset up.
What'd you need new furniture for?
The furniture we had was completely destroyed.
What do you mean it was destroyed? Was there a hurricane?
No, my daughter.
Oh, you mean so it was destroyed by a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
It was destroyed by a 2-year-old. Mr. Kennedy, you sound ridiculous, sir. You sound ridiculous. Does your wife work?
No.
Are you back together again?
No.
When did that change?
We
Yesterday?
We started working on things, and right now it's just kind of a rocky relationship. Right now it's just for my daughter.
So when you bought the new furniture, who moved into this apartment with the new furniture?
We moved in together, and I resided there for 5 days before I moved out.
Something had to happen, Mr. Kennedy. It's becoming more interesting.
I began seeing one of my coworkers.
Oh, so you sold the house. Whose house was it? Yours, or was it the family house?
It was the money from my inheritance from my mother's passing.
Fine, because I gather from your aunt, which I sort of believe that you can't rub two nickels together. So you got a little inheritance, you bought a house. Let me follow this. With the money that you got, you bought a house, you sold the house, you took the $32,000. You paid off your wife's car.
Correct.
How much was that?
$14,000.
Then you bought new furniture because the 2-year-old destroyed the furniture.
Correct.
And you bought new furniture, put it in an apartment, brand new apartment. You spent the rest of the money, $20,000, $18,000, and you bought new furniture, moved into an apartment that you lived in for 5 days because you started fooling around with a coworker.
Correct.
How much was the car payment?
$649.61. Judge Judy, may I get the correct calculations of his inheritance totals?
Yeah, your aunt says that you got a lot more money than that, Mr. Kennedy. She said it was more like about $150,000 that you blew.
She's correct. That was the original inheritance from my mother.
How long ago?
That was back in 2004.
Mr. Kennedy, you have to grow up, sir. Your aunt is finished with you. So your wife is driving around in a brand new car. You are no longer together. Is that so far correct? Are you now with the coworker?
Yes.
Ah, perfect.
I just want to cry, Judge Judy.
Listen,
Love.
some grow up, some don't grow up. You have to know the difference between things you can change and things that you can't. That doesn't mean that you don't love him. That means that if he needs a kidney, you may have to give it to him, but if he needs any money, let him get another job. That's easy, you know? I mean, you may have to give him an organ one day because you love him.
I did tell him no multiple times in the conversation on the phone.
Yeah, he can't, you know. I mean, he can't keep tapping into other people to clean up the mess after him. He's 26 years old. In the scheme of things, in a man's life anyway, that's still very young, you know. If they're going to grow up at all, it usually takes about 50 years. And then it's a downhill slide. But he's got a way to go.
His grandma got smart in holding the trust till he's 35 years old.
Because he'll go through 50,000 like water through a goose. Right? Good.
Yes.
Okay, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $649.61. That's all. Thank you.
Now it's case number 418 on the calendar in the matter of Garcia versus Byman.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Garcia, this is your boyfriend, or used to be your boyfriend, according to your complaint. He assaulted you, causing you to have medical bills. He made it so because of the stress that he created by his actions that you couldn't work, thereby causing you to lose your apartment and the lease. He owes you for the assault, for pain and suffering, for your medical bills, etc., etc., etc. Mr. Byman says that you were a nag, you bugged him over his drug use and his lack of employment, that you pushed him and things sort of got out of control.
Correct.
How long were you, Mr. Byman, together?
We started dating on February 17th of 2005. And soon got engaged after that.
Are you engaged now?
No.
To anyone?
No.
So this baby is his?
Yes.
When did you move in together?
We moved to San Diego in April, and we were in a hotel room trying to find an apartment for 3 months, and then finally got an apartment on June 6th of 2005, and we were there up until the end of October when we both were evicted.
But he wasn't living there when you were actually evicted from the apartment?
He was in jail.
And when was he incarcerated?
He was incarcerated 3 different times for domestic
The last
violence.
time?
The last time was October 12th.
The arrest was for an assault on you. Those charges were somehow disposed of, but he had prior arrest warrants, so he was held.
Technically, it was October 8th, and I had a court case in Sacramento on October 10th. After I couldn't make my court appearance because I was in custody in San Diego, Sacramento put a hold on me. I spent 10 days down in San Diego, and then finally they transported me up to Sacramento to take care of my case up there.
What kind of case did you have there?
I think it was 475 of the Penal Code.
Don't play with me.
It was intent to defraud, ma'am.
Intent to defraud who?
A bank.
Were you sentenced yet?
Yes.
To what?
90 days of work project and 4 years of probation.
Is that the only outstanding case you had?
When I was arrested one of the 3 times, they tested me for drugs and I came up positive.
How long have you had a drug problem, Mr. Byman?
Off and on for years.
How many years? 10?
Started smoking weed at 13 years old, so probably since then.
How old are you now?
26.
13. But you graduated from marijuana to?
Methamphetamine.
Did Miss Garcia, was she aware that you had a drug problem?
Yes.
Did she have a drug problem?
No.
That was poor judgment on your part.
Thought I could help him and save him. Move him to San Diego and get him away from the drugs and the crime.
Well, that's fine. You can try to save him. You don't have to have a baby in the bargain.
Yeah.
Now, according to what I read, Mr. Byman, in the complaint and in your answer, a lot of the fighting that occurred while you were together was because of your drug use and lack of employment. Is that right?
That was part of it, but just money was also a big issue.
Lack of employment.
Yeah.
And then you said something interesting in here. You said, well, at some point you went into a drug rehabilitation program.
Yes.
But you and I both know, Mr. Byman, that when you have a 13-year drug habit, a 10-day rehab program doesn't cut it. Like putting a Band-Aid on an open heart surgery. It doesn't work. Have you since gone into a long-term residential program?
Actually, I'm looking right now.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
So you want to tell me what happened in October?
In October, we had many nights where I stayed up trying to help him through his problems. And that night, I had come down on him saying that what is something bad got to have to happen to you to get you to do the things that you need to do. And I can't marry you until you get a job. I'm on disability. I'm permanently disabled. And
what's the nature of your disability?
I have lupus, and I've had 2 major back surgeries. I've had actually 7 surgeries in the last 5 years. And so, therefore, my benefits would be taken away if I married him. And that was one of the major fights. That night, he got very forceful with me. And
look at me.
I slipped out of his arms and got out and left. I left a message on the phone. I said, are you going to stay? I need to know. He never called. I decided that I would just come back in the morning. When I got there with my girlfriend, he was still there. He had slipped out the door. We passed each other and didn't say a word to each other. Basically, we were wanting to find out if he was using still at that point, and it was pretty obvious to me. I stayed there for about 4 hours, got some things ready, then took my girlfriend home. I was gone for about 2 hours, came back, and at that time...
What did you come back for?
I had nowhere else to go. I was pregnant and exhausted. And
why didn't you stay with your girlfriend?
Why didn't I stay with her? Didn't even ask. It was the apartment. I thought he was gone. He left when we were passing.
What makes you think that he was gone? Just because he walked out then? Because
he was leaving. He had his stuff packed and he was leaving.
He had stuff packed with him when he left?
Yes, he said he was leaving.
The only thing I had with me, Your Honor, was a laptop.
He had a backpack, suitcase.
All your clothes there?
Yes, clothes.
Okay.
All my...
So you went back, Miss Garcia?
Yes, I went back. My dog.
You went back?
I went back to my
apartment.
apartment.
You went back. Don't make excuses. Who is this?
This is my mother.
Don't make excuses to your mother. You went back.
Yeah, of course
right.
I went back. My girlfriend did not have a place to stay for me to stay
Go to
either.
your mother's house.
My mother lives 600 miles away.
I don't care. Get on a plane. If you're afraid of somebody, that's what you do. You don't go back to the apartment, knowing that all of his clothes and
I
stuff
wasn't
is
that
still
afraid
there.
of him at the time.
Okay, so you went back.
So I went back.
Okay.
And he showed up. He was actually in the apartment hiding behind the bedroom wall and jumped out at me. And that's when he held me down, saying something to me, just listen, and was holding me down. He would pick me up and throw me on the couch, and then I would slip out of his hold, and then he would catch me and do it again, and then catch me and do it again. And that went on for about 45 minutes. I remember screaming through the window, help, help, at the top of my lungs, that I didn't have a voice afterwards. I finally, don't know how, but after he hit me in the stomach, I don't know if it was with his fist or with something, but I couldn't breathe.
Did you hit her?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I was able to run through the hallway. I had my keys hanging up in the hallway there on this caddy, and grabbed them and ran out the door. He followed me outside, down the stairs, and proceeded to want to hold me down. And then I think he realized that we were outside, and I was crawling to the car to get into the car to lock myself in the car. And my neighbor saw me, called the police, ambulance came. I was in sinus tac. Went into trauma for about 6 hours. They kept me over the night, watched the baby, and make sure the baby was okay. It was about 5 months pregnant. So, which the baby's fine, thank goodness. But we have not been together since.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was trying to come up with the money some way, somehow. Couldn't.
Look at me. Don't look at the desk.
Sorry. Well,
You're still looking at the desk.
force a habit.
Don't.
And later today,
And when we were stopping off the sidewalk, she had booty bumped me and I fell.
Now, what is a booty bump? Show me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Garcia claims ex-fiancé Nicholas Byman owes for breaking an apartment lease and for an assault. Nicholas claims Michelle attacked him first.
Go ahead.
I've tried to get him to help pay these bills off. I've been paying them little by little what I
Which
can.
bills?
The apartment. I haven't started paying the apartment bill yet, which is the eviction and the attorney's fees and what we had owed on the last 2 months, or what he had owed on the last 2 months, actually. He never paid rent, not once. That and the Time Warner Cable, SDG&E, cell phone bills, you name it. I'm paying all of it. We still owe about $11,000 right now, and I'm currently just paying $25, $5 when I can.
Well, show me. Show me that you're paying them.
Let's see. Here's a bill for, there's just 1,000 of them. The bill for the TV, the bill for...
I don't want you to show me the bills. I want you to show me that you paid them.
Yeah, it's got receipts attached to them.
Great. Can I see it, please?
These are the receipts. Let's see here. Then I've got my ambulance bill. I don't have the hospital bill yet.
You have the medical bill there?
I have the ambulance bill. I don't have the hospital bill.
No. What I want you to
have
answer, Ms. Garcia, if you are on disability, which means you also have medical coverage based upon your disability, I want to see what the disability covered. You have Medicaid?
They haven't covered this. I just got this in the mail. And it's Medi-Cal, yes.
Medi-Cal. Well, then that has to be submitted to them.
Yes, it does. I think you should have to pay it, though. Why should the state have to pay something that he caused?
You want a check written to the state, written to the
Sure.
ambulance? Well, that means that he's going to give you less money once this baby is born. Wouldn't that be stupid?
Yeah, like he's going to give me any money.
Wouldn't that be stupid?
Would.
All
yes.
right. Let's not play around with each other.
The bill that I'm here for, the $5,000 bill, I have not started paying on this because I don't have the money. That's why we're here. I'm suing him for this money.
What bill?
This is our apartment eviction bill. We got evicted. There's attorney's fees. It ends up being $5,493. He assumes that I'm going to pay this. I'm not.
Oh, you're not. You're not. You're just going to pay half.
I've paid half since we moved into that apartment.
No. That's your choice, Ms. Garcia, my dear. That's your choice. If you chose to stay in that apartment and you chose to move in with him knowing that he had a drug problem, we were trying to save him, your saving him didn't work out, I'm not interested in the fact that you assumed the responsibility of paying the rent despite the fact that you had an agreement that you were each going to contribute half. Just as if it didn't work out between the two of you and you had to stop working or doing whatever you do because you were pregnant, I wouldn't permit him to come to court and say, well, didn't work out. I paid all the rent. We had an agreement that she would pay half the rent. She stopped working. So I chose to continue to pay the rent. You even went back there in October hoping that it would all work out after you left the apartment and came back with your friend. Now, I'd like you to tell me your version of what happened on the 8th of October.
Actually, it started on the 7th. We got in an argument about the money that we owed when we went to court for the eviction. They gave us 2 weeks when we went to arbitration.
Hold on a second. You mean you were still together at the time that you were being evicted?
Yes.
Is that right?
We had gone to court during the first month that they approached us and put a note on our door.
Miss Garcia, you understand what I'm saying to you. While you were both still living in the apartment, the landlord moved to evict you for non-payment of rent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I paid
now
my
it
half the rent.
Now it becomes clear. Go ahead.
Well, we got in an argument over what we were going to do. I was trying to come up with the money some way, somehow. Couldn't.
Look at me. Don't look at the desk.
Sorry. Well,
You're still looking at the desk.
of course I have it. I
Don't.
apologize. Anyway, we argued about the money, how we were going to come up with it. Things got loud, and she ended up just taking off for the night, at which this point I stayed the night, and she came back, like she said, with her friend, which then I grabbed my laptop and like a jacket and stuff and just took off for the day. Came back around 5 in the evening, which point she started screaming and yelling, like, "What are you doing here, you sick?" I told her I was just trying to get my couple things and go, and that's when everything started escalating, and she slapped me in the face and then scratched the other side of my face, started throwing objects at me, at which point then I did restrain her from hitting me with anything else. And at that point, she started screaming, help me, and that went on for a little while longer. Then she ran downstairs, like she said, and I got arrested about 5-7 minutes later.
Okay, sir. You understand that you are responsible for half of what the landlord is owed. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, that's
But-
$2,718.
Well, I didn't pay for either the down payment, the first month, or the second month. Mother actually paid for all that.
And?
I think she's entitled to that, at least, since
You mean she's entitled to what the landlord owes her?
altogether, probably, yes, because I didn't pay for anything, like she said.
I'm not interested in that, sir. Just let's understand that. I couldn't be less interested in what her mother put down, what she put down as a down payment. Those were their choices. Understanding that you had a drug problem, that you lost your job the first week that you moved into the apartment. What you should have done was to move out the first week that you moved into the apartment if you weren't resolving your drug problem. I'm not interested in what her mother did and what she did. I'm interested in what's owed the landlord. So if what's left on the lease is $5,437.17, you're responsible for half of that. But the check will go directly to the landlord. You have to cover the rest. $2,718. Check will be written to the landlord. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The guy owes the whole amount.
Because I was just in a self-destructive mode,
I can't afford it.
Didn't care what was going on, at that point.
I'm going to have to pay it, just like I paid everything else, so it's fine.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Beverly versus Mayo. Step forward.
Pamela Beverly is suing the mother of her daughter's schoolmate, Rhonda Mayo, for medical bills and pain and suffering. Pamela claims 12-year-old Jessica Mayo injured her daughter at school.
Miss Beverly, this case really involves your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there when this incident happened, but it is your claim that the defendant's daughter injured your daughter. You want her to pay the medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't there. You don't know. Let's have the girls up and the mom seated, please. Tell me your name.
Crystal Beverly.
How old are you, Crystal?
13. Jessica May, I'm 12 years old.
Okay, Crystal, why don't you tell me when this happened? What date?
I think March 27th.
Were you friends?
Yes.
How long have you been friends?
Since the first day of school.
So since September?
Yes.
And this was March, so you've been friends for a long time?
Yes, ma'am.
You like each other?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what happened.
We were walking down to the bus for dismissal, and when we were stopping off the sidewalk, she had booty bumped me, and I fell.
Now, what is a booty bump?
It's when you bump somebody with your butt, you go like this.
Just like that?
Yes, if she did it harder, and then that caused me to fall.
Show me.
We were walking, and then when I stepped down from the sidewalk, she went like that, and I fell. And then she walked over to the sign that said Crittenton, and I laid there crying, and then one of my other friends came up to school and helped me get to the bus.
That's okay.
And you had to have surgery on your kneecap?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's hear your version of what happened.
We were coming down the stairs of the school in the afternoon. We were going to the bus stop. Then I gave her a booty bump, and we were still talking and laughing and walking. Then she tripped over her own footstep.
That's not true.
So you're telling me that you gave her a booty bump?
Yes.
You went like that?
Yes.
You weren't angry with her?
No.
And you continued to talk?
Yes, we were still talking and laughing and walking.
And it was later that she fell?
Yes. and she fell over on her foot.
Would you step up, please? Miss Beverly, I want you to tell me the exact conversation you had with your daughter when she got home.
It was on March the 24th, Your Honor, and she told me that they were walking to the bus stop and Jessica booty bumped her and she fell on her knee. I thought it was just a bad sprain, so I didn't take her to the emergency room until the day after.
You have the medical report, please?
Just a medical report.
What were your unreimbursed medical expenses?
It was $1,083.
All right, Miss Mayor, why don't you stand up with your daughter?
Your Honor, may I say something else?
Yes.
The day after I came from the emergency room, before I spoke to Miss Mayo, I spoke to Jessica to see were the stories the same. Jessica told me the exact same thing. She booty bumped Crystal and she fell and hurt her knee.
Is that right?
That's not true.
Okay. You have anything you want to say to me?
Yes, ma'am. When Jessica had told me that her and Crystal were playing at the bus stop and that Crystal had fallen, I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know how serious it was until after Mrs. Beverly spoke with me on the phone. And she did tell me that Jessica and Crystal were playing and Crystal fell.
Well, they were. There's no question in my mind that your daughter did not intend to cause injury to her friend, right?
Right.
But sometimes when you fool around, that happens. I mean, there's no issue that your daughter did not intentionally harm Miss Mayo's little girl. But they were fooling around, and she gave her a
tap. Yes, a bump.
And she fell. And she didn't fall afterwards. She's making up. She fell then. She didn't mean to hurt her. It wasn't an intentional thing. It was, as Crystal said when she first started, an accident. That's the way you described it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you lost your balance when she gave you that push.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay. That, Miss Mayo, suggests to me that you should be more than willing to contribute to the unreimbursed medical expenses that your daughter's fooling around caused. Because but for the fact that she gave her a nudge, she would not have tripped and fallen, and she would not have had this injury. Certainly, you are not entitled to pain and suffering, Miss Beverly, from the defendant, because I don't believe that this was an intentional act. I think that these two young girls were friends. I believe that in all probability, your daughter has done this booty bumping ever to other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, nobody got hurt. Do you understand, Miss Beverly?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,083.
Versus Witt. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Ms. Wilder, according to your complaint, you bought a bicycle for your son.
Yes.
And that bicycle was stolen off of your front porch.
Yes.
Several months later, the defendant's son was seen riding a bike that looked as if it was the same bike as had been stolen.
Right.
And it was later ascertained that it was, in fact, your bike.
Yes.
You want the defendant to pay for the cost of the repairs there were, the bike. The defendant says that her boyfriend purchased the bike for her son from a neighbor. She had absolutely no idea it was stolen. And she is counterclaiming, claiming that you have slandered her in the neighborhood by calling her a thief, family, thieves. Child has heard those kinds of comments that she says started with you.
Yes.
On what date was the bicycle stolen?
It was about 2 weeks after Christmas.
So sometime
of this
in
year.
January.
Yes.
And when, for the first time, was the defendant's son seen riding the bike?
The 24th of March of this year.
Are you neighbors?
Yes. We live a block away.
All right. Who first saw her son on the bike?
A neighbor of ours had first seen her son on the bike, and I was not at home at the time when the bike was brought to my fiance's attention, but he could explain that better than I could.
Go ahead. Tell me your last name.
Ruth, R-U-T-H, Stephen Ruth.
Go ahead.
Yes, it was on March 24th. It was
That I know. Tell me how you saw the bike.
It was in the morning, and a friend of mine, Dennis, brought the bike up to my front door, and he said, doesn't this look like Timmy's bike? And I looked at it, and I said, well, yeah, that could be, but it had been changed so much that I couldn't tell at that time. So I took the serial number down, and then later on, when Sherry came home, we matched the numbers up, and they matched up with the receipt that she had. And so we went back over there, and she wouldn't answer the door. And then finally she answered the door and said that could we settle it the next day? And I said no, that I'm going to go call the police. So we called the police and went over there with the police. And the police checked the number, and they said, yeah, that's the bike.
Okay. And it was returned to you?
Yes.
Yes, that did.
Okay. Miss Witt, how did the bike come to be in your son's possession?
We gave it to him for his birthday, which
And where
was
did you
March
get it
23rd.
from? You didn't buy it. Your boyfriend bought it.
Right.
Is your boyfriend here today?
Yes, he is, Bob Smith.
Step up, please. Mr. Smith, where did you get this bicycle from?
I bought the bike from Kirk.
Kirk.
Kirk. Me.
From this gentleman here.
Yes.
When did you purchase it?
What date was it? February 22nd.
Tell me how it came about that you purchased the bike.
Cortland had mentioned that he would wanted a certain type of bike, you know, on his birthday. So I had to ask Kirk if he had knew anybody that had a bike or where I could find a bike like that. And he said his friend was selling a bike. So we
Just
took
a second. Why did you ask Kirk?
He has a friend that used to own a bike shop on Bear Valley Road that had been gone out of business. And his friend said that he had a red line bike, which was the type that he wanted. So I took a look at it and I bought the bike.
Where did you go to look at it?
At Kirk's house.
You went to his house?
Uh-huh. He lives in the same neighborhood. His friend had brought the bike over.
Step up. Where did you get this bicycle from?
From Brian, a guy named Brian.
What's Brian's last name?
I don't know his last name.
Well, how do you reach him?
He came to my house with the bike, you know.
Well, he didn't just show up at your house with the bike.
Yeah, he did.
Somebody must have told him that you were looking for that kind of bike. Why would he just show up at your house with a bicycle?
I guess he needed money or something. He was trying to sell it to whoever was around.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
how much did you pay for the bike?
$200.
Who did you give the money to?
I gave the money to Kirk.
Is that right?
Yeah, and what it was is Brian came with the bike, you know, and I gave him the money. I was like the middleman for him, like, you know.
Did you get any money for yourself for selling the bike?
No.
He didn't give you anything, not even $10?
No.
Why?
I didn't ask for it. I didn't really have to do anything.
And I didn't know that. I thought we paid him. That's who I have the bill of sale from.
Let me see it, please.
And what I had told Sherry's fiance when he came to my house was that I didn't have the bill of sale with me. Same thing I told the police officer was because my fiance had purchased the bike. And it was he was laying tile that day and it was in his possession.
Your Honor, but she also stated that she had a yellow copy and that she bought it from the bicycle shop, which happened to be the same bicycle shop I originally bought it from. And I have the police report that states that.
But I thought that that's where he had gotten it.
You have any reason to believe that this lady stole a bicycle that belonged to your child? Just pay attention. On your front porch. She lives in a house where she can see your house across the street, and then she permits her child to ride that bike in the neighborhood right in front of your nose. Wouldn't that be stupid?
On his birthday.
Just a sec. Shh. Don't speak. Wouldn't that be stupid?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
But
so,
I never accused her of stealing the bicycle.
I don't understand, Miss Wilder, what you think.
I think her boyfriend
He knows somebody.
knows who took it or possibly knew it was stolen. I don't think her
if you
son
think,
knew.
Just a second. If you think that her boyfriend possibly knew it was stolen, he could also possibly not have known it was stolen. Aren't both things possible?
It's possible.
And what are you doing here? I believe that they paid $200 for this bicycle.
But the condition the bicycle was in, I mean...
You saw the bicycle, Miss Wilder, 2 months later.
The crank had been painted. The sticker on the crank had been painted.
Listen to me. You saw the bicycle 2 months later, and I don't know whether they did it or somebody who had it between the time it was stolen and the time you saw it 2.5 months later had painted it. I don't know. Did you paint the bike?
No, it's exactly how we bought it.
So somebody else had it in the 2.5 months. When was your son's birthday?
March 23rd.
Okay, and you saw it the next day. Somebody else had the bike. Somebody else painted it. Now you can sit down.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I'm not satisfied that any of them had any knowledge whatsoever that this was a stolen bicycle. I don't think that this lady would have given her son a stolen bicycle, especially to ride around the street. It's ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Wilder says neighbor Robin Witt owes for the cost to restore her son's bicycle. Robin says Sherry has been spreading rumors about her family.
Now, after this happened, did you start to say bad things about her?
No, I did not. Her children go to school with my children. I walk my son down to the bus stop. I do not talk to her kids.
Why not?
Because they don't talk to me. I have no
Did they
reason
ever
to talk
to you before?
No.
Okay. What information do you have that Miss Wilder has defamed you and called you a thief?
When she brought the police officers back to my house, and yes, I did answer the door.
No, don't talk to her. Talk to me. I'm asking you the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. She told the police officers, well, if you open their garage, you'll probably find the 2 scooters that were stolen out of my front yard, too.
That's not defamation. Go ahead. What's next?
Then my children got to where they didn't want to ride the bus. They wanted to ride back and forth, and I was wondering why, what was going on. They had children telling them at the bus stop that they were stealers and that...
That's all hearsay.
Well, I brought Samantha because she goes to the bus stop. She's my 5th grader. She's 10 years old. And she said Miss Wilder doesn't speak to them, but that her words were, she's not deaf. She heard her say these things to other neighbors. One of them living next door to my mother.
Just a second. Come up here, Samantha.
Where?
Come up here, Samantha. Oh.
Your Honor, the one other thing is the day that the police showed up to take...
I'm not interested in the bicycle anymore. I've resolved the issue of the bicycle.
No, it has to do with what she's saying about the kids in the neighborhood
Just a
and
second.
that.
I'm not finished. How old are you?
10.
I want you to think very, very carefully. And, you know, you have to make sure that when I ask you a question, you tell me the truth.
Yeah, I know.
Only the truth. Got it? Do you know Miss Wilder?
Not very well.
Did you ever see her at the bus stop where you go to school?
Yeah.
Do you ever speak to her at the bus stop?
No.
Do you ever hear her say anything about you or your mother or your brother at the bus stop?
I have heard her.
What did you hear her say?
That we were thieves and that
Who's we?
me and my brother and my family.
Who did she say that to?
My grandma's next door neighbor.
What was your grandmother's next door neighbor doing outside? Does she have a child that goes on the bus?
Yes.
Did you say anything to your grandmother about it?
No.
Did you tell your mother about it?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
That I had heard her talking about me and my brother and my family.
How'd that make you feel?
Bad.
Has anybody said anything to you at school?
Yes.
What do they say to you at school?
That we were thieves and that my brother was a thief and people had been pushing Cortland around and it was really bad because they were calling us things and Cortland didn't even want to go to school anymore.
You know that all that is not true.
Yes, I know that.
And that I don't believe at all that you or your brother or your mom stole anything. Okay. You understand that?
Yes.
And if some children say some bad things because adults aren't doing the right thing, that's a bad thing for them to say.
Yes.
But sometimes you even have to forgive adults because sometimes adults act like stupid children. That sometimes happens. Okay?
Okay.
Good. How do you do in school?
Good.
Yes?
I get straight A's.
Got a girl. Somehow I figured that. Okay. Go and sit down. Your conduct, Miss Wilder, is out of order.
Your Honor, I never said anything.
I believe you did. Not only do I believe you did, but I believe her. And I believe that because of the statements that you made, either you or your children or your fiancé or anybody else, that you placed Miss Witt's daughter and son in a circumstance at school that made them uncomfortable. I believe that you had no cause to believe that Miss Witt or either of her children had anything to do with the theft of your bike. And I do, in fact, believe that you made a statement overheard by this child that called this child, her brother, and her family thieves.
I didn't.
That's a very hurtful thing. So your case is dismissed. On your counterclaim, I am awarding you $1,000. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I only wanted to protect my children.
I've never said anything about her kids. I've never said anything about her.
It was an embarrassing situation for all of us.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCrae versus Lathers Higginbottom. Step forward, please.
43-year-old realtor Kathy McCrae and her daughter, 11-year-old Heather, are suing 44-year-old Brenda Higginbotham and 52-year-old Johnny Lathers. Kathy says Brenda and Johnny's son, 14-year-old Lawrence Lathers, shot her daughter with a BB gun.
All right. No, you stand up here. Step up. Only the children were there that day. The parents were not. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that correct? So, you were shot in the hand with a BB gun. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
Me and my cousin Casey were walking down the street, his dog started barking at us.
Whose dog?
Lawrence's dog. So he told it to be quiet. Franklin and Mikey, those are some neighborhood friends of Casey's, they said that they could get the dog to be quiet, so they went inside and got Lawrence.
These two other boys? Went inside where?
Went inside his house. And
Went inside Lawrence's house?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And so he came out with a BB gun.
Who came out with the BB gun?
Lawrence did. So I was going to tell Casey, but she told me, she said, I know.
She knew what?
That he had a gun. So then we were going back. Casey said, just ignore him. So I did, and then we walked across. We were going to the stop sign, and he shot, and it had hit me in the finger.
How many people had BB guns?
Just him.
Okay, is the BB still in your finger?
No, ma'am.
It was taken out?
Yes, ma'am.
It hurt you?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any scar there?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please? Come on up here. Show me where.
Right there on the middle finger.
How many times did they try to take the BB out of your finger?
2 times.
Did it hurt?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was inside, and I seen them walking down the street because I was on the phone. The dog was barking, so the doorbell rung, and Mikey told me he came knocking on the door, and I told the dog to be quiet, and I told him he couldn't come around there because they don't allow him in my house. So he left, and then I went back inside, and I was on the telephone, and then they kept passing down the street, and I was just looking out the window. Then I told the dog to shut up again, and when they passed by, they was going down the street, then the doorbell rung again, and it was Mikey. And I asked him what he wanted, and he had this pellet gun, and he told me to come outside. And then he was shooting at the sign across the street.
What were you doing?
I was on the telephone at first.
Not at first. When you went outside, you brought your BB gun outside.
Yeah, I went and got my gun because he had
Right,
his.
you went and got your gun and you went outside.
But they was going down the street, but Mikey was still at my house. They had left after the second time, and they walked down the street, and then he came and rung my doorbell.
I heard that. But you left out the part that you went outside with your BB gun.
I went outside with my BB gun, and we were shooting at the sign across the street.
Right.
And then after that, I told him I was about to go inside because it was getting dark. And I went inside and I got back on the telephone. And about an hour later, the police came.
Right. Good. Stand where you are.
The police came.
I'm not interested in what happened with the police. So you and your friend were shooting, and it is your defense that how can you tell which BB shot her?
Yes,
is that
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't matter. If 2 morons are shooting a BB gun out in the street and there are no markings on BBs so that you can't tell which gun it came from, they're both responsible. Period. End of discussion. Don't try to make yourself appear foolish, sir. There's no discussion. That's why there's no issue here. You had absolutely no right to go outside and shoot that BB gun unless there was a totally clear space. Nobody there. Nobody could get hurt. And if you didn't train him to do that, or if you trained him and he didn't listen, you are responsible for his actions. Who bought him the BB gun?
Ma'am, the distance
Who
that they
bought
were,
him the BB gun?
We did.
We
but
did. There you go.
The distance that the young ladies got shot at, BB guns doesn't reach that far.
What do you think? She shot herself in the hand?
Oh, well, she left there with little Frankie. Now, he had a BB gun. Now, what happened to his? Why he didn't do it somewhere? We heard this lady. She didn't holler when she got shot. Nothing happened. She didn't show nobody she is shot. She ain't told nobody. How can a kid get shot with a BB gun and says nothing to nobody?
Where did you want her to come back to your house?
Well, she could go to the neighbor's house. Anybody, a kid
She
could
went
go.
to her house.
Okay.
She went to her house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Go ahead.
Mikey left Lawrence and went down the street where these girls were with
a
his BB gun in his hand after he and Lawrence finished shooting.
Maybe.
So who is to say Mikey didn't?
Who's to say? I don't
shoot
know
it
who's
when
to
he was
say.
down there.
All I know is that 2 idiots were shooting BB guns into the street. And it had to be into
They
the
were
street
shooting
where there were people and cars because there's a stop sign there which indicates that the police feel that that street corner is sufficiently dangerous to put up a sign, which means that cars cross and people cross.
It
They were shooting. It wasn't a stop sign.
He just told me he was shooting at a stop sign.
At the speed limit sign.
Yeah, but that's not.
further down
But that's further
Judgment
down
for the
street.
plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Idiots. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. The 2 on the calendar in the matter of Mika versus Coker. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Meeker, according to your complaint, you signed up with the defendant's dating service.
Yes, I did, Your
You
Honor.
paid her a substantial amount of money, and according to you, she did not fulfill her end of the bargain.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Just a second. Ms. Coker says that you do, in fact, have a contract with her that you signed, that you did perform her service, and that you're not entitled to a refund.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How did you find her service, Mr. Meeker?
I looked it up in the phone book.
How did you choose her service over any of the others?
It was the only one in town. I live in a rural area.
So she was the only game in town?
Yes.
Did you make an appointment to see her?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Where did you go?
She came to my house.
On what date did she come to your home?
March 1st, 2002.
Tell me about the meeting.
All right, she came and she had told me that she'd have these people that she would introduce me to, and she said that basically that your trouble looking for people will be over. I'll send you, at first she said 10 to 15 referrals per month, but in the contract she wrote 6 to 8, and that I would pay $24.95 up front, and that I would get a minimum of 6 to 8 referrals per month for life or until I was married. So
Okay.
she came.
That's $2,495.
That's correct, $2,495.
Okay.
So I had received 12 referrals at the time I signed up for the contract. Should I tell the rest of the story with it?
Absolutely.
Okay. The first person I went out with was a school teacher, and she thought would be a good match. And when I went out with her, we went to a restaurant, and she says, there's one thing I have to tell you. I think you're a really nice guy, Jim, but I am going out with someone. And Carol knew that at the time she set me up with you, and she should have never set me up with you. She also told me that she had paid $1,200 for the dating service, and her boyfriend had only paid $750. And she asked how much I paid, and I had to admit that I paid nearly $2,500. I had gone out with 2 of the other 12 people before I left for the state of Maine on June 17th, and at that time, neither one of those worked out. When I came back from Maine on October 31st, I called Carol again in November, assuming I would get more referrals, and she did not give me any, and she kept saying, I'll give you some later on. And on December 3rd, she told me that she had the perfect person for me, that I just have to pay her another $1,250, and she would give me that referral.
Why did you have to pay her another $1,250?
Because she said that the other person didn't have the membership fee, so I'd have to pay half her membership fee before she could introduce us, Your Honor.
And what did you say to her?
I said, no, I can't afford to do that.
That was in December of 2002.
Yes, in December. So I continued calling her until early January, hoping to find people. And at the beginning of January, I think it was either on the 7th or the 9th, she said, you know, I'll call you when I have someone. Don't call me, I'll call you. And after a month, when she hadn't called back, I filed a document stating that I wanted my money back within 10 days, otherwise it would take legal action.
Can I see the contract, please?
I've got a contract and the letter I sent. They're both here, Your Honor.
Thank you. The names written on top of this contract, are those the names of the people that she furnished you with, sir?
Yes, they are.
Okay. In your letter, you say that recently you told me personally that you could not fulfill the terms of our contract due to the fact that I am blind. Did she ever say that to you, sir? Or did she say the reason I'm having difficulty is because you're blind?
Well, she said that it's hard to find people because you're blind. That's what she told me.
Okay. I just wanted the exact language, sir.
Right.
She didn't say I'm not able to fulfill the contract because
Right.
of your
She said she can't find people for me because I'm blind.
Okay, fine. Okay, Ms. Coker, now I'll hear you.
Your Honor, first of all, Mr. Micah joined my service on March the 4th. In fact, I have his contract here.
I have a copy of it. I'm looking at it.
Okay. All right. At this time, when I had given him the ladies' names and numbers, he told me he was a very proud man. He told me that he had a dog named Gidget and that he walked 10 to 12 miles per day and that he was very self-sufficient and that he could maintain his livelihood and so forth. So when he met even the one lady that he's speaking of particularly, okay, when he joined the dating service, I gave him her number as well as many other ladies' names and numbers.
I gotcha. So,
okay.
let's go.
Also, he asked me not to hold him being blind against him, and I told him I do not discriminate. I am not.
All right, so now I have some specific questions for you. Did you ever say to him that you had someone that you thought would be perfect, but that that person could not afford to pay their membership? And would he be interested in paying for 1/2 of her membership so that you could make the introduction?
No, ma'am. That statement was not made, ever.
In December, you never had someone that you thought was great for him, but who couldn't come up with the membership in your
No, ma'am.
organization?
I told him then that the lady had moved and that she was having trouble coming up with her funds, and as soon as she got her tax refund, she was going to join the dating service. At that time, I asked him if he would work with me. He said yes. I had
Work with him how?
Give me time to get more people in, that I would reduce my cost, that I would give free memberships to ladies for him to meet. I would do anything.
Well, why don't you do that with this lady?
Well, because bottom line, Your Honor, I'm not God. I have no control over people losing jobs.
Oh, listen to me. You're not following. You're doing a lot of double talking. You can't go to double talk me, Miss Coca. You just said to me that you had a lady that you thought was suitable for him in December. The only problem is she had lost her job and she didn't have the funds to join your service.
Correct.
So you were going to wait for her to get some funds to join your service before you introduced her to Mr. Mika.
That's correct.
And 2 seconds before you said you told him that you were going to reduce your fee or not charge a fee so that he could, in fact, meet people.
Ma'am, that was in December.
That's what I'm saying to you. That was in December.
Correct.
So?
In January was when I told him I would start reducing my fee to the
Why
ladies.
didn't you do it in December? You weren't fulfilling your contract in December. Why didn't you do it in
Ma'am,
December?
he was still seeing the lady that he was originally had met through my dating service.
Were you dating somebody then, Mr. Mika?
No, Your Honor, I was not.
Okay. My next question, Ms. Coker, is, do you have one set fee for everyone? Answer the question, madam.
Yes, I have one set fee for everyone.
Okay. Now, so that if I were to pick up the telephone and call these 12 women, they would tell me that each of them paid $2,495 for your service.
According to what time they joined the service, how long they've been in the service.
That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking, you're double talking me again.
Ma'am, what I'm stating is that when cost of advertising goes up, I have to increase my price. Okay?
In March of 2002.
If someone...
It's very easy to find out, Ms. Coker. I'm speaking. In March of 2002, in April of 2002, and in February of 2002, are you telling me that everyone who joined your service paid $2,495?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Mika, you have the telephone number of this woman that you...
I can give it to you. It's 352.
Mm-hmm. Well, she might be working now, but let's try it.
Your Honor, may I speak?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
When you say you were with Patty, had you spent Christmas with her?
Yes.
Not with Miss Lipman?
I spent Christmas morning with her.
So that you were really leading kind of a double life.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Mika claims he was ripped off by dating service owner Carol Coker. Carol insists she lived up to her part of their agreement.
Well, first of all, you'd be happy to know that she is no longer seeing the guy. But she likes you as a friend. She's crazy about your dog. She paid half what you did for your membership. She paid $1,200. And she joined about a year and a half ago. So you have different amounts that you charge for different people. You charged him twice as much. Any reason for that, Miss Coker?
Ma'am, she joined a year and a half or 2 years ago.
No.
She did not join the day that Jim Micah joined.
That's not what I'm saying to you, Miss Coker. Don't play with me. Your advertising costs didn't double in 4 months. You say to me, when your costs go up, that goes up.
That is correct.
Mr. Mika, I'm not going to play with this case anymore. I think that she took advantage of you. I think that she took advantage of you financially. I think that she does have different amounts of money that she charges different people. I don't think that there is any set fee for her service. I think she charges what traffic will bear. In your case, traffic was $24.95. Some people it's $1,200. Some people it's $600. She was certainly not honest with me when she said that everybody gets the same fee who signs up at the same time. I do not believe her. I also don't believe that she followed through with her contract. I think that the statement she made to you that in December that she had somebody that would be perfect but she couldn't come up with her fee was designed to have you say, if she didn't say it right up front, I will pay the fee if you have somebody that's perfect. I think that that's dishonest. I also think that she did furnish you with some ladies' names, one of whom at least you have a nice friendship with, because I understand, at least from her mother, that she's fond of you, and as I said, she's crazy about your dog. So you're not entitled to your entire refund back, but you don't want the service anymore, you're entitled to most of it back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She figured I was blind and I was desperate and she could take me for a ride.
I only wish that the handicapped, when they want us not to blame for them or not to discriminate them for being handicapped, don't turn it around and make it look like we're the bad person when they do have a handicap, when we didn't cause them to be handicapped.
I guess I showed her I wasn't quite as dumb as she thought I was.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Lipman, step forward, please.
44-year-old bar owner Thomas Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, 56-year-old pharmacist Leanne Lipman, for the return of a ring and for stolen property. Leanne claims Thomas was unfaithful.
Mr. Brown, how long were you engaged to Miss Lipman?
Just under 2 months.
Your complaint alleges a couple of things. That she stole some things from your apartment on the night that you broke up with her, that she refused to return the engagement ring, and that she destroyed some of your property by spilling perfume all over your apartment. And Miss Lipman says, no, I did none of those things. So I was sort of interested in reading your complaint, sir. You were engaged to Miss Lipman for 2 months.
That's correct.
And prior to that, you had another girlfriend or another fiancée?
Yes.
And what was her name?
Patty.
And how long were you with Patty?
2 years.
When did you break up with Patty?
Probably July of 2002.
And when did you meet Miss Lipman?
August of 2002.
And when did you become engaged to Miss Lipman?
October 31st, 2002.
And on what date did you break up with Miss Lipman?
December 27th, 2002.
And you went back to Patty?
That's correct.
When had you started to see Patty again?
Approximately the last week of November.
Did you tell Miss Lipman?
No, I didn't.
Now, what happened on December 27th, 2002, Mr. Brown?
Well, on December 27th, I was with Patty, and Leanne was going to come and visit me.
But Miss Lipman didn't know that you were with Patty, is that right?
That's correct.
When you say you were with Patty, that was around holiday time.
That's correct.
Had you spent Christmas with her?
Yes.
With Patty?
Yes.
Not with Miss Lipman?
I spent Christmas morning with her.
So that you were really leading kind of a double life?
Yes, I was. I was trying to wait until after Christmas to break off with Leanne. I just did not want to ruin her holidays.
Did you get her a present for Christmas?
Yes, I did.
What did you buy for her?
I think it was a Green Bay Packer jersey, and she's a big Packer fan.
And what did she buy for you?
I believe she bought me a shirt and a sweater, which she ended up taking back.
Now tell me what happened on December 27th. Miss Lipman was coming to visit, and you were with Patty.
And I informed Leanne that I had started seeing Patty again, and she was in her car on the way to my place, and she went absolutely ballistic. I mean, she started screaming, going absolutely berserk. So I told Patty, I said that we should probably leave my place, and I decided to leave my place open, knowing Leanne was over 2 hours from home and probably would need some place to stay and probably would not be in shape to drive. So I left my place open, and that's when she decided to do all the damage.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Thomas Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, Leanne Lipman, for the return of a ring and for stolen property. Leanne claims Thomas was unfaithful.
What time did you arrive there, Miss Lipman?
Approximately 9 o'clock. I've got my cell phone bills to show when I was talking to
You
him.
got there about 9 o'clock. And the door was open.
But it always was. He never
I understand
left.
the door was open. And when did you return to your apartment, Mr. Brown?
Saturday morning.
What time?
Approximately 8 o'clock.
Was Miss Lipman still there?
Yes, she was.
Tell me what the apartment looked like when you got there.
It didn't look bad at that point, and it did not smell bad at that point either.
Okay. So when you came home, it looked normal.
Until I went into the drawers.
And what happened when you looked in the drawers?
Well, when I went in the drawers, I found some pictures that I had taken on cruise lines that were all torn up.
I see that, girl.
Like this. I got 3 different photos. And then also in the same drawer as these photos were these 2 ring boxes, which this one had a pair of diamond earrings in it.
What was that for?
I had bought them for Patty, actually, and then I bought her a bigger pair, so I had these.
When did you buy those for Patty?
About a year earlier, Christmas the year before.
So, her you bought a jersey, and Patty you bought diamond earrings.
Well, that's correct.
Right. And you were still holding on to those earrings, is that right? For what reason?
For what reason? Well, they were diamond earrings. You know, I couldn't take them back.
Okay. And what else was missing from the other box?
Well, this was the original engagement ring container, and in this was another gold band. That was the wedding band of the engagement ring.
That's not the original.
Just a minute, I'll get to you in a second. And what else?
Well, you know, she tried so much to destroy my life at that point. I own a restaurant in Wisconsin, and she went upstairs to the bar boasting of what she did to my apartment, destroying pictures and things like that.
Of course she ripped up the pictures, right, Miss Lippman?
Of course. And I don't think I ripped up all those, because I only ripped up colored ones, and I think one was black and white. And I ripped up the pictures of Tom and I also.
But you ripped up these. Of course you did. Okay. So we got the destruction of the pictures, which you'll never be able to replace. Then we have the diamond earrings. Miss Lippman, did you take those?
No, I did not.
What about the wedding band?
No, I did not.
Miss Lippman, look at me. What about spilling perfume? Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Sure you did. I love it.
But I didn't get the perfume on the leather part of the jacket.
Listen to me. You did that on purpose? Sure. What did she destroy, Mr. Brown?
Well, she tried to destroy my relationship with Patty.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, well,
Grow up.
she called her family telling her everything.
Grow up.
Okay.
That's your problem.
Yeah. And, well, she...
I mean,
well, she went into my...
destroyed in your apartment with the perfume?
She just made it so it was unbearable to smell for a couple days in there.
What do you want me to do about that?
Well, I had to spend the first night in a motel.
This wasn't the first time, was it?
No, it wasn't the first time.
Live with it. What's next?
Some of my clothing was missing.
Did you take any of his clothing?
The only thing I can figure out, I do have a Neil Diamond sweatshirt that I always wore when I was there, and I did find it in my laundry later.
He wants his Neil Diamond sweatshirt back. Give it to him. What else do you want?
I want the ring back, the engagement ring.
Where's the engagement ring?
Right here.
Give it to him. I don't want it. Give it to him. Perfect. Good. Now you have it back. What else?
She took my dishes.
Are you kidding me or what?
No, she took my dishes.
Is she suing you for the gas that it took her to get to your house to find out that you were with somebody else?
Not so far.
What's next? What's next?
Just she went to my computer address book and emailed all the people in there telling them what a rat I was.
You were?
I am.
What's next?
That's pretty much it outside.
Good, you got your ring back. Bye.
Okay.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Crothers, the defendant is your ex-boyfriend. It is your claim that on 3 separate occasions he caused damage to your leased car. You want him to pay for the damage.
Yes.
He says, I don't know what you're talking about. Right?
Correct.
When was the first time he caused damage to your car?
It was about the first week of July. We were living in our apartment.
July of last year?
Yes. We were arguing, and he left with my keys so that I couldn't go anywhere. It was like Friday night. And I had an extra set of keys, so I left. I went to the house that he was at.
And an extra set of keys to your car?
Yeah, he took the set of keys to my car and the house key, the apartment key. And so I went over there, and he got mad, and he went into his car, and him and his friends had left, and they were driving around the town, so I was following him because I needed my keys to get back into the apartment. And I followed him. We went into a parking lot, and he got out and kicked the side of my car because I was following him. He was mad. And so I went back to the house. I tried to get out of my door, and I couldn't get out of the door. And I seen that he kicked the side of my car, and then he kicked the front. There's like a hairline crack on the front of the hood.
Right. And then you all made up?
Well, because we were living together.
And you made up?
Yeah.
And you continued to live together?
Yeah, because we had an apartment lease.
It's not because you had an apartment lease. You made up?
Yeah.
And then when was the next time he caused damage to your car?
We were at our apartment, and I came home from work, and he was leaving, and I was mad because he was leaving because our daughter was there. And I yelled at him down the balcony, and he got mad, and he took his car and ran right into my car.
Say what you
on
yelled
purpose.
To me.
Shh. So he ran into your car. What kind of damage did he cause that time?
I have pictures if you'd like to see them.
Let's see damage number 2 first.
That's when he backed his car up and ran into it on purpose.
And when was the next time he damaged your car?
There's a place called McKinley where everybody hangs out.
Date?
It was about the 3rd week of July. It all happened in July.
It all happened in July. You were all still living together. So after he backed into your car, you continued to live together?
Yeah, because I couldn't get a lease. I still had to pay for an
Don't tell me
apartment.
you continued to lease. You continued to live together. You made up. You came home, you had a fight, but you made up.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
he left.
All right, and then we have another one in July. What happened the last week in July?
I couldn't find him that night, so I knew where he was at this popular place, and so I went up there, and he threw a 40 at my car of beer.
He threw what?
A 40 of beer.
40 ounce beer.
Yeah.
He was probably drunk on all these times he ran into my car.
And what happened as a result of that?
We had an argument, and I left and went back to the apartment.
When did you finally separate from this gentleman?
Last November, I
So
moved
you
back
stayed
with my
with
parents.
him August and September and October, and November you left.
Yeah.
So, did you have the car fixed yet?
Not yet, because I don't have the money. He was supposed to be giving me money each week.
Let me see the rest of the damage to the car.
And I have an estimate, too.
This is where the 40 went on the
Yes.
car? And this is where he kicked the car?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let's hear you. Let's start with the first incident in July.
All right.
You took the keys. She got her own keys. She came to find you. She shouldn't have done that, but she did it.
And she chased me.
And she chased you.
Yeah, she's a little bit crazy.
Because I need my keys.
I don't want you to speak to him. Should have left the door open.
All right.
Give me, you should have needed your keys.
And then once we got to the parking lot where she pulled up behind me, this is how she messed up her own car. She put up behind me and she was like, what do you think you're doing? Who you got in the car? I was like, don't worry about it. Then she pushed her car on the back of my car and pushed her car like this. After we went back, because after we left that place, we went back to the house that we was over at. Then she tried to get out of her car and her door would not open. But what she did was try to force herself out of it, and then that's when the door was like that, from the fender being pushed back a little bit.
Are you
messed up
telling
the
me,
fender.
Mr. Smith, that you did not kick her car
I did not kick her car, ma'am.
on that occasion?
On that occasion, I did
All
not
right,
kick her
let's
car.
go to the 40-ounce beer bottle. You did throw that at the hood of her car, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, 40-ounce bottle of beer. I figured you did. And you did, in fact, back your car into hers.
Yes. Not purposely.
But
Yes,
you
you
did.
did.
Shh, just a second. But you did.
Not purposely. But yes, I did.
I don't care whether it was purpose. That's what an accident is.
Okay.
That's why they don't call it an on purpose. They call it an accident. All right?
Okay.
So you admit to these two.
Yes.
Yes, but not the first one.
Correct.
I believe you. Let me see the estimates for the two.
It's
This
all
one-
on one.
Well, I'm going to take off for the first one.
If he did those other two, then don't you think he would do the first one, too?
No, I think that if he denied doing all three, then I might have a problem. But he doesn't. He admits to two of them.
You see, the reason
Just
why
not the first one.
If I ran into his car, he would have had damage to his car.
Well,
and
you
don't have
did
any
do damage to my car. You threw a rock
No,
at my
not.
car.
Hey, don't fight with each other.
And also, the reason why I threw the beer bottle, she came and brought my little daughter up there on McKinley and just dropped her right on the ground, told me
Yeah,
to
'cause
come
you
get
don't know
her.
how to watch her.
But you don't do that to a kid, especially mine.
Bird, would you do me a favor? Are you used to looking at these things from body shops? You ever seen these things?
I've seen.
You see, this is what he's responsible for. He's responsible for this, and he's responsible for this.
Then also, she also claimed that she was going to pay for my car also. I haven't received no money.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
what did she do to your car, sir?
I have a Beretta. And on the back of a Beretta, you have a plastic thing where you got your name of the Beretta. She threw a rock and broke my plastic off of there. Cost $379 to get fixed.
Did you get it fixed?
No, I didn't. She told me she was going to pay for it.
Did you counterclaim for that?
No, I didn't.
So that's a nice story.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Heather Crothers says ex-boyfriend Terrence Smith vandalized her car 3 times.
These three?
Those 3 figures there.
All right. The damage that I find him responsible for is $310.81. Now, you have a child together?
Yes.
How old?
16 months.
Is that your only child?
Yes.
Child live with whom?
Lives with her.
Do you visit?
Yes, I do.
Don't pay child support.
I fell behind because I lost a job. I used to work with her father until we separated, so had to go find another job. Then she got child support on me, with child support my child. Then I got terminated from that job, but I just started up another job last week. And I'm going to get caught up on my support, but it's like I have hard times trying to go pick up my daughter from her. That even, I think it was probably 2 weeks ago, I had to go over to her house and had to call the cops over there because she wouldn't let me use the car seat.
Why won't you get your own car seat?
I didn't have a job at the time.
Hey, let me give you a piece of advice. You picked him to father your child. You picked him. Now he's the father. So you're not supposed to say nasty things about each other.
In front of our daughter, correct.
You're not supposed to do that at all.
Yeah,
Because
she
that
does
doesn't...
that all the time, the
Just a
N-word.
second. Okay, listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
You should have been smarter. Mr. Smith, before you make a baby with somebody, you're supposed to know all about them, because then you are joined together for a very long time. And if you picked somebody who's got a nasty attitude, which is what you're suggesting, then you picked her, just like she picked you.
Correct.
But right now you have a child, and you're not supposed to do anything to make the child miserable. You understand?
Yes. The only day that he wants to ever pick her up is Sunday, and he has to go out on the weekends, which I don't think is fair, because I have her all week, and then he just comes to get her on Sunday, which I can't go do anything.
I even got my...
Just a second. Why don't you stop being a baby?
I need time to myself, and he has all the time in the world to
It's
himself.
all about you.
Just a second. Why don't you stop being a baby?
I am.
You are a baby.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. If he wants to pick up his daughter on Sunday, that's when he wants to see her. He's supposed to work Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. That's what he's supposed to do, right? He comes, picks up your child. If you work, which I assume you do, is that right? Right?
Yes.
And somebody takes care of the baby during the day?
My mom.
Very good. So you see her when you come home from work?
Yes.
You see her in the evening?
Yes.
You tuck her in at bed at night?
Yes.
You see her in the morning before you go to work?
No.
Well, that's too bad. But you see her every day, 6 days a week.
Yes.
Fine. One day he gets to see her. So you have your nails done on a different day. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $310.81. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I mean, she wouldn't be so childish. Maybe everything would have been better in our relationship, but all the driving around, crashing cars, it's all childish games.
He's the one childish. He goes to the bar Friday, Saturday night, didn't come home till 3 o'clock in the morning.
I should have been a little bit more of a man, thought about her thoughts, but at the same time, she still shouldn't have been crazy towards me.
And now the next case.
All parties on Wilson versus Watson. Step forward, please.
51-year-old operations coordinator Mary Wilson and her daughter, 19-year-old Natalie, are suing 39-year-old executive director of a home for single mothers, Teresa Watson, for the return of 2 months' rent.
Mrs. Wilson, I assume this is your daughter?
Yes.
Your daughter has a baby?
Yes.
And there came a time when you felt as if it was in everyone's best interest, I assume, for your daughter to enter a residence with her baby.
That's correct.
And you signed up for the defendant's residence. You have a transition housing?
Yes.
For young mothers and their babies?
Yes.
It didn't work out. Your daughter left before the agreed time for her to stay there, and you want your rent deposit back. And the defendant says that your daughter actually left owing her money.
Yes.
When did your daughter enter the residence?
The 1st of March this year.
How old's your baby?
He's 11 months.
And what was the rent each month?
$350.
And how long did she stay in the residence?
1 month and 3 days.
And how much had you paid altogether?
$700.
So far, is all of that correct?
Yes.
Now, she left once the second month had already started, so I see you prorated the rent and you want $315 back.
That's correct.
Now I'll hear you.
Sisters by Choice is a tenant-landlord relationship, so therefore you are required to have a rental agreement and you are required to submit a 30-day notice. Natalie had been talking about a 30-day notice, however...
Do you have that contract?
Yes. The evening that she left, a lot of the paperwork that she was asked to complete was removed with her, but I do have an acknowledgement statement stating that she would give a 30-day notice upon leaving with her signature on it.
Okay, would you take a look at this? Okay. Did you give them a 30-day notice?
No, I had not. The night I left, they had thrown papers regarding rules and stuff and at 11 o'clock at night. And so when I had gone over the papers, I refused to sign only because I wanted my dad to look at them before I signed anything. My dad is an attorney, and I wanted to make sure that there were appropriate rules. And so when I refused to sign them, I had been told that I had an hour to get out because I refused to sign papers.
Who told you that?
I'm not sure if he's the coordinator or the director.
They wanted you to sign off on some rules.
Right.
Had you looked at the rules?
Yes, I had seen them.
What rules were particularly problematic to you?
Something about like 5 o'clock in the morning, you would have to do Bible study and stuff. And I just was like, well, that's kind of funny because when you have kids and you need that
You
time.
have Bible study 5 o'clock in the morning?
No.
5 o'clock in the morning. Do you have Bible study at all?
We have morning devotions that start at 7:30. However, all of the house rules she signed when she first entered the program.
Can I see them, please?
Yes. And it states that we are a Christian-based organization, and part of our policy is to have Bible study and attend Sunday service. The rules that she's referring to about not willing to sign was actually a warning because she broke curfew that night, and she was already at a probation period. And she needed to sign stating that she would not break further curfew.
What kind
and
of curfew
she refused.
what kind of curfew did she break?
As she said, she came in at 11 o'clock at night, and the rules are 10 o'clock.
Where was her baby?
With her.
What were you doing out at 11 o'clock at night with your baby?
I don't ever remember even.
Try to remember. What were you doing out at 11 o'clock at night with your baby? Where were you?
I was currently with a friend, and I don't remember this ever occurring about
What do you mean you were currently with a friend? I'm asking you where you were that night at 11 o'clock with the baby, and what friend,
I
male
was
or
currently
female?
on base with my friend that I always went out with every day.
When you have a baby, you don't stay out till 11 o'clock at night. You stay home. And there must have been a reason why your mother thought that you had to be in a residence rather than being home. I assumed that that was part of the problem. Is that a fair statement, Miss Wilson?
To some degree.
Of course. Now, your daughter called you sometime around midnight, April 3rd or into April 4th, and told you she wanted to come home. Is that right?
Actually, she told me she was being kicked out. Okay. And because of the fact that she was being kicked out and not giving 30 days notice because she wanted to leave is one of the reasons I'm pursuing the return of the rent.
Did you discuss with your daughter the fact that she had violated curfew?
This is information that is new to me right now.
Well, why did you think she was being kicked out?
I was told that there were rules that she was supposed to sign, that she wanted her dad to look at them first. And
Well, then
that
she gave you a big story because she's already signed all the rules, you see? These are all the rules right here. She signed off on each and every rule. What the defendant is telling me is that they wanted her to sign a statement that she would not violate the rules again by violating curfew, which she had done that night. And she took the paper and she threw it in their face, and they said, okay, you're out. Is that what happened?
Actually, we asked her to sign the paper. She said, I'm out of here. I didn't want to be here anyway. Approximately 2 weeks before then, I had given her a 30-day notice and asked her if she felt she wanted to sign it because she had been making statements, I don't like rules, I want to do my own thing, and that her parents basically forced her to come. And as you see, she started filling out the 30-day, and then the next day her mother came and said, if you leave here, I'm going to call Child Protective Services and it's going to be an issue. She decided the next day, okay, I'm willing to stay 6 months and get the help. However, the friend that she remains on base with every day, all day, came by, and they decided that it was appropriate to be out 11 o'clock at night.
You got it now? Do you understand? It wasn't house rules that she was being asked to sign. Your daughter entered this residence because this residence had certain structure that you felt as if she needed. Where does your daughter live now?
She's living in an apartment.
With her baby?
Yes.
Alone?
No, she's in shared rent.
With
shared
whom?
space with another couple and their child.
I don't know how long she's going to be at this place. You have a grandson or a granddaughter?
Grandson.
I suggest you stay close and not worry about $315. You've got bigger things to worry about. I think you know that. I'm just going to hear you very briefly. What money do you think she owes?
We watched Natalie's baby for 3 weeks while she was in school. That's not covered in a $350 rental. It's for the room.
Did you give her a bill for child care fees?
I explained to her mother the day after she came over, Natalie owes us for child care fees. She said, I'm not concerned about the child care fees. I said, well, you are responsible because you told me in the beginning that I will pay until she gets a job. So actually the $315 you need to get from your daughter because she owes us child care fees of $600.
Did you go to school?
Yes, I did.
Coach, just answer my question. You went to school how many days a week?
Here's the attendance sheet. It was not for 3 weeks.
I don't care how many days was it that you went to school?
7 days. The reason I didn't go to school a lot is because I would always complain to my mom. The babysitting was very poor and it was not on site. And
you got a problem. You have a problem. Deal with the problem. Put this behind you. Stop worrying about your $300. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may number 192 on the calendar in the matter of White versus Vargas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Mr. White, according to your complaint, sir, the defendant is a neighbor of yours.
Yes.
And he shot your dog.
Yes, he did.
Shh. The dog survived.
Yes.
And still have the dog, but you had a lot of vet bills.
Right.
And you wanted him also to pay for the psychological damage that was caused to you and your family as a result of this shooting.
Yes.
Where was your dog when he shot the dog?
My dog was in his front yard when he was shot.
And where were you?
I was out of town. I was on vacation.
And who was with the dog at the time that he shot the dog that was in his front yard?
No, when the dog had gotten out of the backyard to the fence.
And what kind of little dog was this?
He's not a little dog. He's a Rottweiler.
A Rottweiler?
Yes.
And the Rottweiler, I mean, I know a little bit about dogs. A Rottweiler weighs several hundred pounds.
Yes.
Right?
Right, 100, yes.
Well, what was your dog doing in his front yard?
I'm not sure what he was doing, but he was just cutting through, I believe, heading back down the street like he does occasionally.
That's outrageous, sir. What is your 100-and-some-odd-pound dog doing out unattended by a member of your family who's able to control the dog? What if somebody's afraid of dogs?
Well, the dog, it's kind of hard and difficult to keep the dog in the yard sometimes, but when the dog does get out there.
Never! It's never too hard to keep a big dog in your own property. In the house, in the yard, fenced in, tied up, or at all times under your control. I read this and it sounded to me as if you're the victim. You're not the victim. Your dog is the victim of your negligence. Is this your wife?
No, it's my neighbor.
Who else lives in your home?
No one.
Just you?
Yes.
When you went out that day, where did you leave your dog?
In the house.
Well, then how'd the dog get out of the house?
Well, I had a carpenter there working on the house who had gone out to get some wood. The dog had come outside to go to the bathroom. He'd carried the wood back into the house and then heard the shot.
This is what your carpenter is telling you.
Yes, this is what I was
But your
told.
dog's gotten out before.
Yes, he has.
Right. Well, that's what I gathered. And you're here as a neighbor to tell me it's a sweet, loving, friendly dog that you're not afraid of. Is that right?
Correct.
I don't care. Some little 5-year-old might be afraid of a 150-pound Rottweiler that comes walking up to them, even if it's the friendliest dog in town. So, that being the case, let me get to Mr. Vargas over here. Mr. Vargas, I gather that initially you denied that you shot the dog, but then you said to him, yeah, I shot your dog. Your dog was in my front yard, and my child was out there. Was your child outside?
Yes, she was.
How old is your child?
She's 13.
This your child?
Yes.
You have a picture of the dog?
Yes, I do.
Sure, let me see it. Looks like an absolutely lovely, lovely dog. For you to keep in your house, under your control, not to think it's just such a wonderful dog, everybody's going to love it.
Well, I don't feel it that way. I know the dog looks like it could be, very dangerous, but he's not by any means. As a matter of fact, my neighbors all know the dog very well because, like I said, the dog's kind of he's been raised around humans. He's never been with other dogs. He thinks he's human himself. Everybody who comes over, he meets him at the front door to be petted. He's a loving dog. All the neighbors love him, of course. Like I said, he's never had any incident before where he's caused any damage to anyone or even threatened anyone.
Listen, Mr. White, this dog is doing what this dog has been trained to do, which is he's a block dog. He feels as if he has sort of control to go outside if he wants to. People adore him. They may give him a treat. Your neighbor adores him, which is all very nice. But this is a very large animal. This isn't a Chihuahua that can't cause substantial damage. If somebody is walking in a baby carriage and for some reason this dog gets spooked by something, and even if the dog doesn't go over and try to hurt them, they can start running, the baby carriage can tip over, the baby can become injured through no fault of the dog's. Through your fault.
Well,
that's your fault.
But isn't that the reason to have dog pounds and a dog catcher in case your dog does get out, or a dog registry for lost dogs?
What if you think that this dog, because you don't know the dog, all you see is this huge dog on your lawn.
Well, wait a second.
Your daughter is screaming outside. Is that what was happening? Step up. Now you tell me. What happened when you saw the dog?
When I saw the dog, it was barking at me and showing its teeth, like in an angry way.
Were you frightened?
Yes.
Where were you standing?
In my driveway.
And where was the dog?
At the end of the driveway.
And what happened next?
I called my dad's name, and he had gone and get his gun, and he took care of it.
And he shot the dog. Didn't kill it. No.
Right.
That's what pounds are for.
Well, like I said,
Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Say I was inside the house. I was looking out our bay window and looked across the street. They were outside.
Who's they?
Caesar, the kids, the whole
Kids?
family. Right.
Yes?
Didn't see the dog. All I seen was him standing at his garage. Two sounds that sounded like a shotgun, but it was getting close to 4th of July, so I thought maybe it was firecrackers. Ran back to the back door and opened up the garage door, and that's when I seen the puffs of smoke coming from his garage. But like I said, I did not know at that point in time the dog had been shot.
Just a minute. So you saw his daughter outside?
Yes, but the dog wasn't barking and they weren't screaming.
Listen, how long have you been neighbors?
3 years.
Have you ever seen the dog out before?
Yes.
Did you ever shoot the dog before?
No.
Did you ever say anything to him about the dog before?
No.
But the dog has been out before.
Right.
And it's true, over the last 3 years, you've not had a problem with him. Is that right?
No, I haven't had a problem at all with him, except for the fact that a couple weeks prior to this, I'd been riding my motocross bike in some trails there in my neighborhood. While bringing the bike back home, I passed his wife on the sidewalk. She was walking down the sidewalk with a stroller, and she hollered something at me like, slow down, and I went on by her and went on home with the bike. And maybe 20, 30 minutes later, the police showed up at my house and said that they had a report saying that I was riding the bike in their yard. I told them at that time that I wasn't riding the bike in anybody's yard. I'd taken it down the trails and back. And so,
Were you going too fast, sir?
No,
You don't think so?
I don't believe so, no. It's allowed.
Why do you think, after 3 years of no problem, all of a sudden you would have a problem with them? If I'm a good neighbor and if I'm driving a motorcycle and his wife is walking with a baby in a baby carriage.
Right.
First of all, you don't have a Rottweiler roaming around in a neighborhood where there are babies in baby carriages. Period.
Right.
End of
My
discussion.
dog doesn't roam the neighborhood.
Yes, your dog gets out and has
Right,
gotten
he has
out
broken
before.
out of the fence, like all dogs get out of their fence.
No, sir. You say that that's okay. It's not okay.
Well, I don't agree that it's okay, and I do
It's
my
not
best.
okay.
I do my best to keep the dog in the
But
fence.
your best isn't good enough.
Like I said,
Your best, Mr. White, isn't good enough.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you're driving a motorcycle and you pass a woman and she says to you, hey, slow down, and what you said is you just kept on going.
Well, yes.
No, just a minute. That's what you said.
Yes,
oh,
I
yes,
did.
that's what I did. I just kept on going. That to me is rude. Rude!
And later today,
I agreed to loan him the money to keep him out of jail.
Your Honor, I worked on her computer at least 4 times.
So what? You're hustling me, sir.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Philip White says neighbor Caesar Vargas shot his Rottweiler Bones. Caesar says Bones was threatening his daughter.
If you're going out and you have carpenters in your house that you know are going to be taking wood in and taking wood out, and you're not going to be there all day, you take your dog to a kennel. And you say, I want to make sure my dog doesn't get out because it's dangerous for my dog to be out in the street. It could cause a car accident. So I'm going to take my dog to the kennel for the day because I'm not around to supervise this 150-pound dog. That's what you do.
Well, if the man had shot my dog to defend his family, I would have said that was one thing.
That's what he says he did.
That's what he says he did. Then why then he told me that he didn't do it? Why did he deny it?
Because he didn't want to get
when
into
the
an
police asked
argument
him
with
why
you.
he shot the dog, he denied it to them also.
Why do you think he shot your dog?
I think he shot my dog because he, out of vindication, or maybe possibly shooting the wrong dog. Like I said, my dog's real fat popular. My dog lived on
All
the
right,
roof of my
Mr.
house.
White, you ain't going to get it, sir. Listen to me.
I
You
know.
know why you're not going to get it? You're not going to get it for 2 reasons. First of all, if you're driving a motorcycle and you pass a woman who's walking with a baby carriage and she says to you, hey, slow down,
Right.
and that's your neighbor, and what you said is you just kept on going.
Well, yes.
No, just a minute. That's what you said.
Yes,
oh,
I
yes,
did.
that's what I did. I just kept on going. That to me is rude. Rude! Because you stop the motorcycle and you say to your neighbor, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was going too fast. I'm sorry if I frightened you. That's what you say to a neighbor. You don't say, psh.
Well, obviously,
I keep-
my neighbor and I aren't that close, so I mean, we
I don't care whether you're close or not.
My neighbor's there until the police.
What difference is it if it's your neighbor or not? If a woman walking with a baby carriage says to you that you're driving too fast, then you stop and you say, I'm sorry.
I
You
did
seem
put
to
the
think
motorcycle-
everything you do is okay.
No.
Pay the vet bill. It's your responsibility. And go and say, I'm sorry to your dog.
Pay the
Goodbye.
Audience are excused. You may step out.
I was just frightened for my child.
I don't believe the time that the dog was threatening anybody.
I grabbed my shotgun.
The dog avoids people. He's never attacked or done anything that played with children.
I wasn't aiming. I just shot towards him.
I feel very unfair for the dog.
I just hope it doesn't happen again and none of my brothers and sisters get hurt.
And now the next case.
All parties on Cochran versus Matthews. Step forward, please.
Retired computer specialist Loretta Cochran is suing her former friend, computer technician Chris Matthews, for an unpaid loan for child support. Chris says he worked off the debt.
Ms. Cochran, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of $5,000. You claim that you have given him certain credits. He owes you slightly less than $5,000 on the loan. Mr. Matthews says that you had an agreement, and the agreement was that it was a barter arrangement, that you gave him $5,000, and he agreed to do some work for you and half of the civilized world in exchange for the money that he needed to pay back child support. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know him?
I know him from the local flea market at home. He ran a computer shop.
And you?
I ran a booth there selling Beanie Babies, etc.
Tell me about this loan, Ms. Cochran.
Well, Chris needed to pay us back child support.
How did you find that out?
Well, he was talking about it at his shop where other people were. He was working on my personal computer, and he was talking about how he needed to raise the money to get to pay his child support. And I agreed to loan him the money to keep him out of jail.
When you say you agreed to loan him the money, either he asked you for the money or you volunteered.
No, he asked for the money.
What did he say? That's what I want to know.
Oh, gee. He wanted some help on paying the back child support.
What prompted you to give him such a large sum of money?
Well, he really promised to pay it back within...
Tell me what he said, Ms.
He
Cochran.
said that he was getting a $4,000 income tax refund and that he would be able to pay me back within 90 days. So I thought for a short time, yes, I can do this.
He was probably concerned that he was going to go to jail unless he paid.
Yes.
Did he say that to you?
Oh, yes.
Well, I want you to tell me what he said, Ms. Cochran.
Well, he said he was going to have to go to jail. If he didn't raise the money by February the 6th, he had to go to court. And so we went to the bank on January the 27th, I think, and got the money and gave him a cashier's check so he could pay the bill.
So he said that he would pay you back when he got his income tax refund, which would have been $4,000, and then make up the rest.
Yes.
Did he pay you anything?
He paid me nothing.
When did you first ask him for the money?
After he went to court and, you know, had some time had passed by, and I said, let's talk about this. And he would tell me to come over to the flea market, come over to the shop. He would have some money. I'd go over. He wouldn't have any money. Weeks and months went by. He moved his business and went into business with some other guys. And he paid everybody else, but he won't pay me.
All right, Mr. Matthews, now I'll hear you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I don't dispute the fact that I borrowed the money from her. We had made an agreement that I would pay the money back, and then business had dropped, and I came back to her and I said, I don't have the money. I don't know when I'll have it. I'll pay you. She made the agreement that I could work it off on working on her computers, friends' computers.
Tell me about that,
And
Mr.
I guess
Matthews.
they would reimburse her that way.
Tell me about that, sir. Tell me about this new agreement. When was it? Where were you when you made
It was
this
about
new...
March, and it was at her home,
What were you doing at her home?
working on her computer.
Okay. Go ahead.
And she had said, hey, you know, you could do this kind of work. We can knock it off the bill, you know, until you can get straight and whatnot.
Yeah, for a couple of hundred.
Go ahead.
And I kept doing this work and...
Doing what work?
On the computers.
Well, how many computers
I
did you
worked
work
on her computer twice at the shop, twice at her home. I worked on her lawn keeper's computer. I just worked on another friend of hers computer. I repeatedly worked on everything.
No, not repeatedly. You worked on her computer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she's giving you certain credit for working on her computer because she says in her complaint, I even credited him $164 because he did some work on my computer.
Your Honor, I worked on her computer at least 4 times.
So what? She kept you out of jail. How much do you think you'd be charged in interest on a $5,000 loan?
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. You're
No,
not
ma'am.
very good in math, just on computers?
Just, I don't know what the interest rate you're speaking of.
Any interest rate, sir.
15%, 20%?
Let's try 10%.
Okay. 10% would be right at $500.
So forget about her computer that you worked on. How many friends' computers did you work on under this arrangement that you claim you had with her?
2.
And who were those people?
One was her lawn keeper and one was a personal friend of hers.
And you accepted no money from these people?
From one of them I did.
2 of them.
How much? Just a second. Which one did you accept money from?
The last one that I worked on it 8 hours and I only charged her for 4 hours of labor.
So what? So forget about that one. You're hustling me, sir. Now, was that the lawn keeper or was that a friend?
That was the friend.
When did you work on the lawn keeper's computer?
Sometime in March.
And how many hours did you spend on that?
On the lawn keeper, 6 hours.
And tell me about the conversation that you had with the plaintiff with regard to her benefiting from your working on her lawnkeeper's computer.
She said that she would then take it out and trade with her lawnkeeper as far as taking care of her lawn.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, I paid for the computer. I paid cash.
What do you mean paid cash for the computer?
When he fixed this computer for a friend of mine.
We're talking about the lawnkeeper.
No, ma'am.
Well, the lawnkeeper is a friend.
What difference does it make? It's not $5,000 we're talking about here, Mr. Matthews. You have an obligation. Your obligation is to pay child support. How many children do you have that's covered by this child support order?
1.
And what's your child support order?
It's $560 a month.
So in order for you to have amassed $5,000 worth of arrears, you didn't pay for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
So you shun that responsibility. This lady, a total stranger to you, says, I will loan you the money because you asked her for it. That's what you just told me. You just told me that you borrowed the money from her. Borrowed. She's not your wife, is she?
No, ma'am.
She's not your sister?
No, ma'am.
She's not your cousin?
No, ma'am.
She's not your aunt?
No, ma'am.
She's not your best friend?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So she's a stranger to you. Stranger. She took care of your responsibility for your child to pay child support. Then you tell her, I don't have any money. Sorry, I thought I'd have money. I don't have money. That's what you told the mother of your child, too. I'm sorry. What do you want me to shoot me? I don't have money. Collect cans.
Your Honor, everything
Now listen to me. Collect cans. Go out, collect cans, 5 cents a piece, collect bottles, put them in, then you have money. Listen to me, sir. She's not supposed to pay your child support. You're supposed to pay your child support.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So she took the money out of the bank, which cost her interest. According to my calculations, you owe her at least $5,000 because that's how much she lost in interest. You want to say anything else to me, Mr. Matthews? And are you sure you want to say something else to me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to hear you, sir.
We made this agreement on several occasions that I would do this work for her.
But you didn't.
I've calculated work that I have done for her on 4 different occasions, and I only got $160 worth of credit off of the bill.
So what? She kept you out of jail. How long were you going to go to jail for, Mr. Matthews?
12 months.
You figure that maybe your life is worth $100 a month? Not to some people, maybe, but to you. Is it worth $100 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
$1,200? She kept you out of jail for 12 months. $1,200. Did you do more than $1,200 worth of work on her computer?
Between friends and...
Her computer.
No, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may see number 434 on the calendar in the matter of Ayala versus Bianchi. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
How old are you, Miss Ayala?
I just turned 21.
And you?
19.
And you have a baby?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is your child?
2.5.
So you had this child when you were 17?
I was 16, turning 17.
And the father of this child is one Joey?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a boyfriend whose name just happens to be Joey?
Yes.
One and the same?
Yeah.
Where is Joey today?
He's not present.
Of course not. Miss Ayala, you claim that Miss Bianchi, in a little bit of a hissy fit, damaged your car by kicking it.
Yeah.
Miss Bianchi says while you had a fight, she may have hit you, but she certainly didn't kick your car.
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm serious. Where is Joey? I mean, is he working today? Is he...
He's watching my child, his son.
He's babysitting?
Yes, ma'am.
He managed to get time off from his job?
No, he doesn't work.
You want to tell me what happened, Miss Ayala?
Yeah, it all started when me and my boyfriend were driving in my car.
Your boyfriend Joey?
My boyfriend Joey were driving in my car. And then she started following us. And she wanted me to get out of my car, and I didn't want to step out of my car.
Well, you stopped your car.
Well, Joey was driving.
So Joey stopped the car?
Yeah, Joey stopped the car. We went to his grandma's house so his mom could come out and make her stop following us.
She followed you to the grandmother's house?
Yeah, and he honked for her to come out. And then that's when Lisa ran out of her car, kicked my car, and that's when I got out of my car. And then I was going to close my door, and that's when she kicked my car again. And that's when she tried to tackle me to the floor. And we just started fighting until his mom and him pulled her off of me.
Now I'll hear your version.
It was Thanksgiving morning. The whole reason why we were fighting, I had informed him that I was pregnant again. And we were in the process of supposedly working things out. So later on that night, my friend who was dating his cousin had called me and informed me that he was with her, Lorena,
in front of his grandmother's house in her car. So I drove over there.
Why?
Just see what's going on. I told him I was pregnant, find out if he's with her. We were supposedly working things out. So I went, I found them there. She was sitting in her back seat of her car, putting on her shirt. He was sitting in her driver's seat, just with his tank top on. And I had asked her, I'm like, oh, so you guys just got done, you know, having sex.
Doing the nasty.
Yeah. And she's yes, I asked her, I'm like, you guys just got done having sex? And, well, not in those words, but, and she's like, oh, yeah, we were. And he wasn't saying anything. He was sitting there. You know, he knew he was caught.
Because he's a moron.
Yeah, exactly. He knew he was caught.
He's a moron who doesn't have a 2-year-old child that's going to be around forever and isn't pregnant again.
Yes.
Right? You're that moron. He's
Yes.
the other moron.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Me and her had words. We were both sitting in our car. I was sitting in my driver's seat. We both got out of the car at the same time and went at each other. And we're fighting for about maybe 2-3 minutes until Joey came, pulled me off of her. His aunt and his mom were then holding me back. He was holding her back.
Let me see damage to the car.
And they weren't holding me back. Just when she let me go, I let her go.
Did you ever hear of birth control?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why don't you use it?
Oh, I am now.
Very good. So you're making $35,000 a year. You have your own apartment. You have your own car. You have your baby taken care of. Your child is in school. You have a good job. You got your GED. You finished your education. What's the matter?
And you're married.
And yeah. Oh, please. That would be terrific. That would be frosting on the cake. Did you try to get out these dents? Is that what these little holes things are that you tried to get out the dents?
No, I didn't try to do anything. I haven't done anything. And I went to go get estimate.
I'd see the estimates.
The top one is the one where my Nissan dealer told me to go to, and that's the one I'm taking.
Top one is the cheapest one, $1,513. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where my Nissan dealer
Miss
told me to go.
Bianchi, let me tell you sometimes what temper does. When you have a temper, you have to pay for it. This didn't happen to her car from nothing.
I understand.
Now, I don't care if this happened to her car as a result of the two of you struggling with each other and falling into the car, although that's not what this looks like.
No,
this looks like a kick.
We didn't even come in contact with her car.
That's not true. No, we didn't. You did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It wasn't my intention to go and fight her.
Well, why didn't you just wait until he got finished and
I
call
wanted
him on
to
the
catch
phone?
him. I wanted to catch him.
Well, you caught him.
Yeah, I caught him.
And later today,
The dog comes running through my yard with teeth and everything and starts fighting Chrissy. Ripped her ear. There was blood every place.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lorena Ayala says the mother of her ex-boyfriend's child, Lisa Bianchi, vandalized her vehicle. Lisa says she caught the father of her child and Lorena having sex in a parked car.
Miss Bianchi, you were so furious that day, which is why when I read your answer and you said you found out after Joey had been at your house and had talked the day before about getting back together again, blah, 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 somebody calls you up and said, you know where Joey is? Joey's over at our house. You get in the car. Where'd you put your baby when you got into the car?
He was at home with my mother.
Your mother takes care of your baby?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Well, what were you doing at home with your mother?
I lived there.
Well, so you left your mother to take care of your baby?
I asked her if she can take care of him, yes.
So you could go out and take care of this problem?
No, it wasn't my intention to go and fight her. It was my intention to go there and find out what was he doing with her. If he was with her, then why is he, you know...
Well, why didn't you just wait until he got finished and call him on the phone?
I wanted to catch him. So,
well, you caught him.
Yeah, I caught him.
You caught him.
Yeah.
And once you caught him, then your adrenaline started to rush. That you have to pay for, Miss Bianchi. Are you expecting this other baby?
No, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,513.73. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's been with me. We're not together, but I'm always going to be there. We'll communicate. He's the father of my child.
I was in the back seat. He was driving in the front seat.
Why would she be in the back seat? She was putting on her clothes.
I'm not going to be with them no more.
Don't fight over a guy anymore. They're not worth it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Collins versus Solis. Step forward, please.
Account manager Alicia Collins is suing her neighbors, construction supervisor Ronald Solis and his wife Ray Lynn, for vet bills resulting from a dog attack. Ronald is countersuing for a false, dangerous dog charge.
Ms. Collins, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
And you have a little dog, and they have a little dog. It is your claim that their little dog came on your property, bit your dog, bit you, and when you picked up your dog, blood from your dog got on a sweater. You want the Solaces to pay for the vet bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
You did not seek medical attention.
No, Your Honor.
And the cost of the sweater.
Yes, Your Honor.
Solaces say that they should not be responsible. They didn't see this whole thing happen. They don't know what happened. And in addition, they are counterclaiming, they say, because you called animal control and they had to go through a whole process with regard to their dog, who was ultimately declared not a dangerous animal, and they want you to pay the expenses that they incurred going through this process. How long have you been neighbors?
I just bought the house in September of this past year.
And what kind of a dog do you have?
A Yorkshire Terrier. She's 4 pounds, 8 ounces.
And when did this incident occur with the Solaces dog?
September 10th.
Shortly after you moved in?
Yes.
Were you at home?
Yes, ma'am.
What time of day?
It was approximately 6 o'clock p.m.
Okay, tell me what happened.
My son was out on his rollerblades, and...
Are you immediate neighbors? Do your properties abut each other?
I can see the side of his house from the front of my house.
Okay, so you're not immediate next-door neighbors?
No, Your Honor.
So your son was outside on his rollerblades?
He was on his rollerblades, and we had our garage door open, and he had come to the door and he said that there was a stray dog outside. So when I opened my door going into the garage, there was a dog standing there. No collar, no anything.
Was it this dog?
His dog, which I did not know at the time, Your Honor.
Okay, but the dog was in your garage?
In my garage. So I told Sheldon he was playing with a friend several streets over, that he was going back over there. I closed our garage door and came in the house. And
where did the dog go?
Back out in the neighborhood. And so then it was probably about 45 minutes later, I was going around to, because I just got the house, so I was going around to put a new light bulb in on my front porch. So Prissy had never been out front yet, my little dog. So I put her on her lead, and I walked her around to the front porch, and I had the lead on my hand, and I was doing the light bulb. Well, here comes the dog again. And so it's on the sidewalk, and then Sheldon said, "Mom, I think that dog's a stray dog. It's going to get hit." By this time, the dog comes running through my yard, comes up, and with teeth and everything, and starts fighting Prissy. And Prissy's 4 pounds, 8 ounces. Ripped her ear. There was blood every place. It was all over her, all over the porch.
So this dog came up on your porch?
On my front porch.
Okay.
And I have a picture of my house, Your Honor, that shows that my front door is not like right there next to the sidewalk.
I'd like to see it, please.
The dog had to come quite a ways.
Okay.
So Prissy had to, she was bleeding profusely. Then I couldn't get it to stop, and it had torn. The tooth of the dog had torn her ear and had nipped my hand, because when the dog started attacking, my dog was on her lead. I immediately just,
yanked her up.
Yeah, I yanked her by her lead. She's hanging. I've got her in my arms, and their dog kept jumping on me to get at Prissy, and ended up having its 2 teeth into my hand. I rushed Prissy in immediately into the house, yelled at the top of my lungs at this dog to get, just to get out of our yard and get away from us. I made my son come in. I ended up taking Prissy to the emergency animal clinic around the corner from our house, and they put her in emergency surgery. She stayed overnight. She ended up getting 3 stitches in her ear, which will never heal again because it was at the end of it, and it broke a blood vessel. That's where all the blood had come from that was everywhere. So
what were the vet bills?
The night of the surgery was $397.28, and then for her follow-up, it was $28. And then she also had another follow-up, Your Honor, $43.73. And then after I had found out that their dog had not had its rabies shots, my dog had to go back to the vet, which was $68.37.
Now what about the sweater?
And I also have the receipt for the sweater. It was a black silk sweater set that I had it was the second time I'd ever worn it. And of course it was ruined, and I just wanted my dog taken care of, the main thing.
Just give me the
Okay.
cost of this, that's what we're here for. Give me the cost of the sweater set.
The sweater was $85.52.
$622.90. Is that right, Bert?
That's right.
Good. This thing broke. I think it needs a new battery. Oh, see, I just fixed it. Now I'll hear you.
First of all,
September 10th?
Yes, ma'am.
6 p.m.
Yes, ma'am. It was later than that. My wife called. I was going home from work, and she said...
Were you at home?
Pardon me?
Were you at home?
No, ma'am. My wife was. I was
Good.
at my
So
work.
I don't want to hear from you yet.
She did not come to our house till the 12th.
I don't care what she came to your
Okay.
house. Were you at home on September 10th at 6 o'clock?
Yes.
Where was your dog?
I thought she was in the backyard.
But she wasn't.
I don't remember.
Was she chained in the backyard? Is there a fence?
There is a fence, yes.
Has she gotten out of the fence? She's a digger.
Once before, yes.
Because Jack Russells are diggers.
Yes, ma'am.
So they make holes under the fence and scoot out.
Yes, ma'am.
I know a little bit about Jack Russells. Bought a house from somebody who raised Jack Russells. Spent a lot of time filling in the holes that they made. That's what Jack Russells do. They dig holes.
Yes.
So your dog's gotten out before.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you got out again. So you tell me why you believe that you are not responsible for all of these bills that the plaintiff had.
Well,
we're not even talking about the pain and suffering she had because she was bitten by your dog, or the emotional distress. We're not talking about that. I think that she would have been satisfied just taking care of the dog's medical bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why don't you tell me why you think that you're not responsible?
Well, when she first came to our house, she immediately stated that she was, if we did not take care of it, that she was going to sue us and have our dog picked up. And I asked her, she'd have to talk to my husband because she was very irate and I didn't want to deal with her. So I told her she had to come home back when my husband was home.
Why? Aren't you a big girl? Can't you take care of this business yourself? What do you have to deal with him for? She came to you. She's a woman. You're a woman. She got bit. Her dog got bit. She had vet bills. What did you have to talk to your husband for? What is he? He's got a bigger brain than you do?
No.
I don't think he does.
No.
You don't, do you, sir? You're not smarter than your wife, are you?
In some instances, I think I am.
Really? Really? Just that answer suggests to me that that's not true. So why don't you tell me, Mr. Salas, why you think you're not responsible for these vet bills?
Because today is the first day she's seen our dog. She's not seen our dog before the alleged incident, nor since. Her proof is that she said that she talked to people, children that ride with her son on the school bus, and they said, yeah, there's a little white dog that lives at our house. And that's how she's going on the basis that it was our dog that attacked her dog.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I have his statement that we had to go to dangerous dog hearing before I could do in small claims. The statement that he submitted to the court September 30th, 2002, they went to each one of the neighbors, which, you know, it's like welcome to the neighborhood to me, and explained and told what happened. He states on here that neighbors puts their address that says that they saw his dog running from my yard after they heard the confrontation. So he's suing me for hearsay, but he also said it. And when we went to dangerous dog...
You want to respond to that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll hear you.
I did say that after we asked her to get witnesses.
Just a second. So you went to neighbors, and the neighbors said that they saw your dog leaving her house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
May I finish?
Uh-huh.
The neighbor said that her son was playing with my dog and coaxed my dog into going to their yard.
How could he coax your dog to go into their yard if your dog was behind your fence?
I'm going by what the neighbor said, I guess, because he was playing. How my dog got out, I don't know. He may have gotten the dog out. I don't know.
Mr. Salas, I've just made up my mind. We're going to let your wife finish talking. Your dog bit her. Your dog bit her dog. Your dog got out from the backyard. Your dog has gotten out of the backyard before. You are responsible for keeping your dog penned in. If your dog digs holes in order to get out of your fenced backyard, then you have to keep your dog in the house. Or you have to keep your dog tethered on a wide enough lead so that your dog has the run of the backyard but can't leave. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. End of discussion. You're responsible for all of these bills. So we've made an interesting case out of your case. However, he has a counterclaim, which is equally as ridiculous, which I'm sure your wife would never have filed. Because, Mr. Salas, you want her to pay for all of the expenses that you incurred when she reported your dog as a dangerous dog, and you had to go to hearings, and you had to get muzzle for your dog, and you had to get restraints in your house, all of those things, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
We had the restraints already.
Then what do you think that she ought to pay for?
All the inconvenience we've incurred because
you should be inconvenienced.
What about my inconvenience?
You should be inconvenienced. A lot. Your dog had a history of getting out of your fenced backyard, according to your wife, who knows how to tell the truth. And if that's the case, you should have seen to it, and your wife should have seen to it, that this dog was not placed in a position where the dog could get out and cause any injury to any other person or any other animal or people's property. You didn't do that. So if you were inconvenienced, that's what's supposed to happen to people who don't take care of their responsibilities. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $622.90. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Oglesby versus Magallanes. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Oglesby, according to the complaint that I've read,
On April 21st, you went to your ex-boyfriend's house. You and your ex-boyfriend have a child together. And it was your intention to retrieve some property. You arrive at the house, and the defendant is there.
Yes.
You and the defendant exchanged some words.
Yes, we did.
Nasty words.
Yes.
Why, I couldn't tell you, but you exchanged some nasty words. According to your complaint, the next day, while you were in or around your home, the defendant shows up with someone else in her car. They get out of the car. Your children are in your car.
In the car.
You get in your car because you see her. And she kicked your car and terrorized your children who were in the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want her to pay for A, the damage to your car, and B, for terrorizing your children, right?
Yes.
So you get to the house on April 21st, the ex-boyfriend's house. Who answers the door?
Nobody answered the door, Your Honor. He wouldn't open the door.
How did you become involved with the defendant?
As I was leaving, he came out on the balcony, and I asked him, you know, just let me get the clothing. I need it for my daughter for school. And he...
Just a minute. I would like her out of the room, please. Go ahead.
Okay. He came out on the balcony, and he says, get out of here. You left me for another guy, this and that. And at that time, she came out on the balcony, and I exchanged words with her.
Well, what were the words you exchanged with her?
I just asked her, like, you know, who are you, and things like that. Really was none of my business, but I just asked her. And she didn't say...
But it wasn't nice. You didn't say, who are you?
No.
What is your name?
No, no.
So you were annoyed and nasty and screaming at your ex-boyfriend and screaming at her. And then you left.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened the next day?
The next day I was coming home from a fair in our city, Orange Blossom Festival, and I had my friend with me, and my brother was with me that day. And we had 2 kids in the car, and then we stopped at my cousin's and we picked up my 2 daughters. And on my way home, I witnessed her nephew driving down my street. I was leaving the gates, and I saw him coming into the gates of the apartments, and he was looking at me like, you know, what are you doing here? And I was kind of wondering.
Okay, so nephew. So you see the nephew driving down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I turned my car around because I was going to go to my cousin's house because I didn't know what he was doing on my street. I was kind of a little bit worried. So as I was stopped my car, I got out of my car and I was standing there because he was going to turn around. I thought he wanted to talk to me or something, so I got out of my car.
Your Honor, if I can
just a minute. I thought you said you were driving to your cousin's house because you didn't know what was going on. He was looking at you funny, so what did you get out of your car for?
I got out of my car because I wanted to clear up what happened with me and her the day before on the balcony. I didn't want any trouble.
Go ahead.
So he didn't turn around at the first street. He went to my street, honked the horn, and the defendant came out of my street with her 2 friends in her truck. And I got back in my car because I saw her coming, and my 9-year-old daughter was screaming, Lady Murder. My 6-year-old daughter was crying, and they were screaming. She's all, no, Mom, no, Mom. And
what were they screaming for? So far, nothing's happened.
Because that guy, she didn't know what he was doing on my street. And I told my friend, I think that... We passed the guy. You got back in your car. I thought you told me you got back in your car when you saw the nephew. And then you saw her car. I saw her come out of my street, okay? And I got back in my car, and I sat there, and I told my friend, call 911, because I didn't know what they were going to do.
Where was your friend?
She was in the passenger seat.
So what happened next?
Okay, so I got back in the car, and by that time, she skidded up in front of my car. Her and 2 other girls jumped out of the car, came up to my window. My window was halfway down. I said, my kids are in the car, my kids are in the car. And she didn't say nothing, but she said, you're mine. And I just seen this foot coming, and then her friend hit my car with a cane, a brown long cane.
Was there a dent on your car?
Yes, ma'am. I have a picture.
Let me see. Uh-huh. Got it. Okay. Estimate.
This is from my insurance company, and this is from the body shop. I had to pay $500, and they paid $315.
So you had a $500 deductible?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
On April 21st, approximately like 4 o'clock in the evening.
4 o'clock is in the afternoon, last time I looked.
Early afternoon, early evening. I was invited over to Carlos's house.
I don't care. You were in Carlos's house.
Okay.
She comes over.
And we were celebrating my birthday. I had nothing to do with no relationship
honestly, with Carlos. I walked into the kitchen, I heard a knock at the door, and that's when the plaintiff ended up hearing my voice. I said, someone is at your door. And then the plaintiff had knocked twice, this time even louder. And then after that, I was like, oh my God, who is that? He sat there and he told me, oh, that's my baby's mom. And I said, oh, great, I don't want any trouble. I didn't even bring my own vehicle. He went to my residence and he picked me up.
I don't care about this. Just get to what's important, madam. You had words with her. She started screaming. There's no question in my mind that she opened up a big fresh mouth and called you a whole bunch of names when you came outside on the patio. She opened up a big fresh mouth and then she left.
In a gated community, she entered the residence and then she got on her cell phone and she made numerous calls, which I had called authorities, and Carlos had asked her to leave.
Okay, because she was pretty frightening.
Yeah.
She was pretty frightening.
Right.
So then my question to you, madam, is why the next day do you go to her house?
That is not accurate. The whole scenario of the case is like, it was one day, which was on the 21st. The 22nd is when I got to there's a local gas station. There's another street coming eastbound.
I don't care, just get to it.
She ended up coming oncoming traffic with her 2 children in the vehicle, and she boxed my vehicle into the gasoline station. There was a truck.
Shh. Hey, no, she's not. Okay. No, she's not. You got a miserable hot temper.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gwen Oglesby says her ex-boyfriend's friend, Dominique Magallanes, kicked her car. Dominique says Gwen attacked her.
Go ahead. She boxed your car in. So she's even more frightening. And then she took off.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
You took off.
No.
Somebody left.
No, this is a...
You're not still at the gas station.
No, the whole thing is the reason why I ended up leaving is because I was rolling up in my lower truck and I was rolling up the window and I could see her coming out like this and they said, oh my God, there she is, which was my other witness. I had 3 witnesses that didn't even show up today because she's intimidating.
Just a second. I don't care about you 3 witnesses who didn't show up today. Did she hit you?
Yes, she did. She struck me from my driver's side window.
Did you call? Hey, quiet.
He was with me.
Quiet.
As a result of that, the gentleman on back of me in the other vehicle let me go.
So you left?
I ended up going down on this one street that directs from my house to her house.
Perfect.
And then I ended up calling a deputy that I know specifically in the area that we live in to ask him basically, what am I supposed to be doing with this?
Why did you go to her house the next day?
To go out there and let her know that I had just started working for a new office and I didn't want her going into my office and acting a fool like she did at the apartment.
Just a second. So, she acts like a maniac 2 days in a row.
Correct, with her children in the vehicle.
2 days in a row.
Correct.
The next day, you, with a couple of friends in your truck, go to her house to have a discussion with her? A reasonable discussion with her?
No, ma'am.
What did you go there for?
She had occupants in the vehicle. She had 2 daughters.
What did you go there for?
To basically explain to her that I am
So
not
you
gonna
went
do it.
there to have a reasonable, calm discussion with her?
I conduct myself in a decent manner.
What'd you kick her car for? You kicked her car.
No, because the reason why, I admit that
You
I did
did
kick her
car.
Because, okay, if anybody caused any trauma to her 2 children, the daughters, she had a knife inside the front vehicle.
I don't want to hear you.
Okay, and about her saying that I had apparently called her these names, she was standing outside the vehicle. She ran inside the car. She had her hair down as it is now. She pulled it up in a ponytail and she said, you know what, it's one-on-one, B-I-T-C-H. That's exactly what you said to me, with your children inside the vehicle.
Wonderful. She's not, listen to me. She's a hothead. She's got a hot temper. You're a fool because I don't believe that you don't have a hot temper because somebody who acts as crazy as she acted 2 days in a row.
Correct.
You don't respond to that by going to her house with friends in your truck. You had no business going over there. You have a friend in the police department.
Correct.
Your friend in the police department would not say to you, well, after acting like a nut, I think it would be a good idea to go over there and try to have a calm discussion with her.
Correct.
And you did, and you ended up kicking her car and causing damage.
Because she tried to exit the vehicle with a knife, and she was on a cell phone.
No, madam. Listen carefully to me. You had no business being there with your 2 friends in a truck. You kicked her car.
But it was out of self-defense. I wasn't trying to cause any harm to her. You were on the phone, and I said, you know what? I told her straight up.
Be quiet, hothead.
Okay. I told her.
Quiet, hothead.
I told her honestly, I said, you know what, you're a very beautiful woman, but the way you're acting towards me, I have no relationship with Carlos, nothing.
Just a second. I don't believe you when you say you went to her house for the express purpose of having a calm discussion with her. You went there with 2 cars, not 1. Your nephew's car went first. You came in your truck second with other people in your truck. You ended up banging her car. But for the fact that you went to her house, you would not have placed yourself in this circumstance. You have to pay for the damage.
But yet let her come to my residence and drive up and down my residence, so I don't even stay at my house anymore. I've moved out of location.
I'm telling you, she's a hothead. She's not going to get 1 penny for what she says was trauma to her children. She's suing not only for the damage to her car, but for the trauma to her children. She caused that.
I'm not worried about the money. I'm just worried about her leaving me alone. That's basically what I want.
Well, I want to tell you something. You didn't handle it right, madam. Handling it right was not going to her house
She comes
with a whole
around
bunch
to
of
my-
other people.
That's not true, though. I didn't come to her to sit there and try to cause damage to her.
Whether you did or whether you didn't, it was an exercise in poor judgment, considering what had transpired the 2 previous days, to go to her residence.
She presented a note into my...
Listen to me. Period. Period.
When she goes to my office and she...
Period! Now, your girls were traumatized?
Your Honor. Yes,
Your girls were traumatized?
Yes, they were.
I have a feeling that if your girls were in the car, you would have said the exact same things as you said when you went to pick up their property at the house, Big Mouth.
I don't do that in front of my children, Your Honor.
Oh, really not? I don't think you can control yourself. So I'm eliminating any claim for trauma to your children. You better learn how to control your temper. But you do get the damage to the car. Your out-of-pocket is $500. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The defendant's just upset that I told my ex-boyfriend that she was really a man instead of really a woman.
Her attitude is like way off limit.
And now the next case.
All parties on Caldwell versus Madrid. Step forward.
24-year-old clerk Mary Caldwell is suing her ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old plumber Janet Madrid, for an unpaid loan to buy a car.
Miss Caldwell, you and the defendant were living together. You were in a relationship when you claim you made a loan to her to purchase a car for the down payment. Is that right?
Correct.
And according to you, the car down payment was $2,500. She made 1 payment of $200 to you and has failed to pay the rest. You want your money back?
Yes, correct.
Defendant says there was never a loan. When was the car purchased?
July of 2000.
How long had you been living together prior to that?
Over a year.
Now, as part of the defendant's response to your complaint, she says that a year before that, you had wanted to purchase a car, and she sold a couple of motorcycles that she had. Is that right?
Yes.
And gave you the money to put down on a car that you wanted to buy. Is that true?
Yes.
How much did she give you?
I don't have an amount for you. I'm sorry.
Did you ever pay her back?
No.
You are living together at this time in a relationship as a family. Is that right?
Correct, at the time.
And am I also correct that this car that she purchased was put in both of your names?
Correct. For the reason that she didn't have a driver's license, she was unable to drive.
All right. Now tell me the circumstances surrounding this alleged loan, Miss Caldwell.
We were in a relationship. It was falling out at the time, but she asked me to loan her the money, in which I
What
loaned
did she
her.
say?
She said, I want to get a car. And I told her, okay, that's fine. I had the money on me. I said, well, it needs to be a loan. Do you understand that? And she said, yes. At that time, we went shopping around for a car. She chose the vehicle that she wanted. I made the down payment on it. She told me that she was going to pay me back. It was a verbal agreement between the both of us.
That sounds all pretty pat. All right, Miss Madrid, let me hear your version of it.
I never told her that I want to borrow the
No,
money.
I want you to tell me step by step. Don't tell me what you never told her.
We both said that we need a car.
Why? You already had a car.
No, because the car that she bought before this car had got repoed because she couldn't make the car payment on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me that.
Sorry.
When had it gotten repossessed?
Maybe about 2 to 3 months before we bought this other car. And I was paying the last couple payments on that car because she couldn't pay for it. She lost her job. And so I said, I want to go get a car. And she's like, okay, yeah, we do need a car. And she had just got a settlement from an accident. And she's like, well, I have the down payment for the car. And I was like, okay, fine. I thought it was just like me giving her the down payment for her car. I thought it was an even swap.
Well, even swap. You said you gave her $800. This is $2,500.
Yeah, well, our whole relationship, you know, she never paid bills. I paid all the bills. She never paid rent, nothing. I supported her.
Your
She
Honor.
didn't have a job. She didn't have a job. Anytime she needed money, okay, here, Mary, here's some money.
So?
So
I took the loan out on the car to finance the rest of the car, and I've been paying on it ever since.
You did? Mm-hmm. In February of 2001, you gave her $200. What was that for?
It was probably for insurance or something.
Your Honor, that is not true.
Because insurance was in her name.
Yes, the insurance was under my name because she didn't have a license. How was the insurance going to be under her name if she didn't have a license?
I asked you a question.
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I do clerical.
Where? For whom?
For a hospital.
Which hospital?
It's actually called Medical Group.
How long have you been working there?
About 5 months.
Prior to that, where were you working?
Prior to that, I was working at a temporary agency.
So you weren't working regularly prior to that?
Correct.
Okay. Tell me about this alleged $200 payment.
When she was kicking me out of the house, she told me that she wanted all my stuff out of the house. I said, okay, that's fine. I'm moving all my stuff out of the house. She
What
told
day
me
was that?
Maybe February, in the middle of February. So right around our supposedly anniversary is when it happened.
Well, tell me about it.
I asked her for money to give me some kind of repayment on the loan. She told me, okay, here's $200. She wrote me a check.
You have a copy of that check?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see it? Looks like she gave you money pretty regularly. What'd she give you money for pretty regularly?
Mainly to pay the bills.
No, she's got things here for the gas company. Pacific Bell? Here's one for $100 to you. On the bottom it says Janet's stuff. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Mary Caldwell, that's you, another $100. Mary Caldwell, $160. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a plumber.
Work full-time?
Yes.
All right, Miss Caldwell, let me tell you what I think, madam. What I think is that the two of you were living in a relationship as a family. And when the year before you wanted to buy a car, she gave you some money. And when the following year she wanted to buy a car and you had some extra money, you said, I'll put down the down payment, you make the payments, because you weren't working, you were working as a temp. And you were all living as a family. And now that you're not living as a family anymore, you say this was a loan. I don't believe you, your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Yes, case number 246 on the calendar in the matter of Potters versus Wells. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Potter, the defendant is your former husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And your claim is for two things. First, you claim that he filed a report to Child Protective Services,
Yes, ma'am.
causing you some stress.
Yes, ma'am.
The second has to do with an income tax bill that emanated from the time that you and the defendant were married, that you're paying.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wells says that he was concerned about his daughter. You have a daughter together.
Yes, we do.
And he doesn't deny that he called Child Protective Services.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And that he pays child support, so the tax bill is yours.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
So let's deal with those two things. Ms. Potter, when were you married and when were you divorced?
We were married in May of 1996, separated in December of 99, legally divorced January of 2001.
And when was your daughter born?
She was born August 19th, 1997.
And you have visitation with your daughter?
Yes, ma'am, on the weekends.
And you pay child support?
Yes, I do, diligently.
Now, Mr. Wells, when did you call in a report to Child Protective Services and why, sir?
It was about a month ago. I noticed a change in my child's demeanor, calling me during the night, crying, saying that she did not want to be there anymore, that it was a bad place to live, they were being mean to her, which I've heard before. Taking that she's 7, probably some discipline going on over there, so you try to take that in, you know, to occurrence. But after a week of this, and even in the mornings, I heard her and her mother arguing, and the child terribly upset before she went to school. So then that following weekend, she tells me that this gentleman over here had beat her with a belt. That,
who is this?
This is my boyfriend.
All right. Which really concerned me. Did a flip on that one, that he had took some pictures of her in her room. So I called Child Services and I spoke with the lady, and I haven't caused them any grief in the time they've been together, haven't, you know, interfered in their lives. And so after explaining this to the Child Services, they felt like that I should file a complaint with them. You know, and that, needless to say, leaving the child alone at the bus stop, getting off at the bus, wandering around the neighborhood for a half an hour unsupervised, sitting on the front porch waiting in the afternoon for 15 to 20 minutes at a time without no supervision. All of these concerns came out in that.
Okay, but primarily you called because of the photographs that your daughter told you were taken
Absolutely.
of her, and the fact that she said that this gentleman disciplined her with a belt.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay. What's your name?
It's Rob Brialt, ma'am.
Step. Last name?
Brialt.
How long have you and Miss Potter been together, Mr. Briault?
About a year and a half now.
And you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have children?
Yes, I do. 3 of them.
And where do they live?
They live with their mom in Colorado.
And where do you and Miss Potter live?
In Cary, North Carolina.
Did you ever discipline Miss Potter's daughter?
Just once, ma'am.
And tell me about that incident.
My children were visiting me for approximately about 5 weeks, and all the girls were up in one room sleeping, or supposedly sleeping, and they're right above the TV room, you know, where we're watching TV, and you can hear them talk and all that, and yell up there a couple times, you know, go to sleep, girls, it's getting late, go to sleep. Since the 2 of mine were obviously up there, and they're acting up, I went up there with the belt, and, you know, spanked them, slapped, you know, gave them a hit on the rear end, you know, to the 2 of my girls, and it would be only fair to the other 2 to not play favorites with Tatum. So she got it as well. And then they all quieted down and they all went to sleep.
Might I add, it was a swat. She didn't even cry. It wasn't a spanking.
Miss Potter.
Okay, sorry.
That's really not an issue that's before me. Okay. What's before me is your claim that he called Child Protective Services without a basis. So that's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
Then there's an issue of photographing your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me about that. Have you photographed your daughter in her room?
What led up to that? Tatum was supposed to be upstairs cleaning her room. I yelled up, Tatum, are you cleaning your room? Yes, Mommy. So Rob's like, well, we'll see. He took this phone, a camera phone, you know, most of them have it. He peeked around the stairs, snapped her sitting on the floor playing when she's supposed to be cleaning her room, came downstairs, downloaded on the computer, showed me, Tatum, come down here right now. She came down. I'm all, remember, Mommy always says she has eyes in the back of her head. I can see everything you're doing. What's this? She looks at it. I'm like, you weren't cleaning your room. She's like I'm busted. You know?
Nothing terribly wrong with taking a picture and saying, listen, a picture, this speaks 1,000 words. You weren't cleaning your room. But as it's relayed to her father, that doesn't sound good. Do you understand?
You're absolutely right. Tatum came home one weekend from his house, said, Dad's going to call Child Services or something on you. I'm like, what? And she's all, yeah, and she told me why. So I get on the phone. I'm like, what are you going to do? Tatum's telling me you're going to do this. And he's like, yeah, I have a concern, my daughter. I'm like, that's a very good concern. This is what happened.
Miss Potter, let me dispose of the first part of your claim. And I want you also...
Yes, ma'am.
So listen carefully, Mr. Wells. Is this your only child?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Or, I beg your pardon, I do have an older son in California.
How old?
13 years old.
Little girls sometimes are manipulative.
Absolutely.
And let me dispose of Mr. Briault first so that he can sit down. Never discipline her child with an implement. Shouldn't discipline her child anything other than with words anyway. But you have no right to discipline her child with a belt. Period. End of discussion. You're not even her stepfather. You have no relationship to this child at all. And the fact that you wanted to be fair because you were disciplining your children, and so you wanted to be fair and your children shouldn't be angry with you, so you disciplined our child, that's ridiculous. Because there are other ways of telling the 3 little girls who were upstairs playing to be quiet because they were interfering with your television time, other than taking a belt and going upstairs and hitting them. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down. He hasn't assumed the legal responsibility in any way to your daughter. Even when he does, I wouldn't let him discipline my daughter corporally. But certainly not as long as he's just your boyfriend. What kind of commitment is that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are a deadbeat with regard to either this child or your son.
I wouldn't call it a deadbeat.
Deadbeat doesn't pay child support as directed. That's a deadbeat.
And later today,
she came up and told me that she was pregnant, and I told her that how could you be pregnant when, you know, we've been using, you know, protection.
Who was using the protection?
I was.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Potter says ex-husband Michael Wells maliciously filed false charges with Child Protective Services. Angela also says Michael owes for back taxes.
So when his daughter complained to him that she was hit with a belt, that was true. And as a non-custodial parent, because he has visitation, and he's concerned that A, some stranger in the house is hitting my child with a belt, and the mother isn't doing anything about it, and the same stranger is taking pictures of her in her bedroom, because that's the way it's presented.
Right.
He has a legitimate complaint. And I do not find that he maliciously called Child Protective Services, because you've been separated since 1999. This is 5 years later. Is this the first time he's called Child Protective Services?
Yes, ma'am.
And he had a reason to do it.
But...
And I don't care whether you explained it to him or not. You can't explain to him satisfactorily that this man took a belt to your daughter. There's no satisfactory explanation for that.
Okay.
Now let's get to number 2. Let's get to the tax returns. Can I see the tax bill that you got with regard to the taxes owed?
Well, here's the whole statement from 1998.
It's just a retaliation suit, ma'am, is all. She threatened, as soon as Child Protection Services was contacted her, she called
Mr.
up.
Wells.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me very carefully, my friend.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the first part of my judgment fair to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you think I'm a fair lady?
Yes, I do.
I don't care whether it's in retaliation or not. If she's been paying off your debt, I'm going to find out why.
Okay.
Well, this says, sir, at the time when you were still married and still together, there was a deficiency in your tax returns of almost $9,000. How much of it did you pay?
I haven't paid any of it.
Why?
Because all my tax returns goes to child support. It's mandated by the state. They take my tax returns and apply it towards state arrears in child support.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is that they take your tax refunds because you were a deadbeat father with regard to your child support, either for this child or another child.
During the arbitration of the separation, yes. I did go a period of time because Ms. Potter had...
You are a deadbeat with regard to either this child or your son.
I wouldn't call it a deadbeat. I'd say...
Deadbeat doesn't pay child support as directed. That's a deadbeat.
Well, it wasn't paid until mandated by the court, ma'am, and then it has been paid every month since then for the last 5 years.
Well, arrears suggest, Mr. Wells, that the state has determined that you owed money for one child or two.
For 2 children, I paid.
For both children. So I'm going to ask you the next question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you start to pay her and say, listen, we have $9,000 that we owed. Clearly, half of that is mine because we were married and filed jointly. So what you're telling me is you decided that she's got to get stuck with this tax bill. Is that what you're telling me?
No, ma'am. I just thought that $9,000 was strong for one tax we filed together 1 year.
So?
And she hasn't, you know, applied me with any documentation, hasn't contacted me.
Here, just a second. Here you go. I want him to have the documentation.
Absolutely.
Take a look.
$8,881.
That's what it says.
All right.
So, since you filed those taxes, since you were living together, were you working at that time, Mr. Wells?
Yes, ma'am. As a subcontractor at that point.
Very good. And what were you doing?
I was an executive assistant for a recruiting firm.
Okay. And so far you've paid about $7,100.
Yes, these
and
are...
there's, right, I see it. And there's still $2,030 owed.
Penalties and interest, pretty much.
Mr. Wells, the defense that you have to this, as I indicated before, because I've read it, your defense is, as far as our taxes, my wife filed our taxes and they are in her name. That's
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
swore to. Internal Revenue Service says that you filed married filing jointly,
Absolutely.
so that is incorrect.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
You were
But that was the
incorrect.
first time I'd seen that piece of paper right there.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you saw the piece of paper, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Wells, because you owe her $4,500. That's half the tax bill and penalties. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you.
All right, you are excused. You may step out.
Ms. Potter tries to get every little bit of money out of me she can. She always has.
All he had to do is pay off the tax. He didn't want to do that, so look what it cost him in the end.
As far as me and Ms. Potter, we will not have any kind of relationship whatsoever.
You just can't reason with him.
Just as long as the well-being of my daughter's taken care of.
I do the best I can as a single mom.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stevens versus Stokes, step forward, please.
Bus driver Joseph Stevens is suing his ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old service representative Ginger Stokes, for the return of child support.
According to your complaint, you and Miss Stokes had a relationship. I don't know what kind of relationship, and Miss Stokes became pregnant. She took you to court for child support because at that time you were no longer in a relationship. You began paying child support for this child, a boy or a girl?
Boy.
And then you discovered that the child was not yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Biologically. So you want the support payments back that you gave to the defendant.
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, when were you and Miss Stokes in a relationship?
Around December 2000.
Until when?
About April, June, between 2002.
2002 or 2001?
2001, I'm sorry.
During that time, did you live together?
Well, at that time, she was having problems at her house. So she asked, can she come stay with me? And she came and stayed with me for a little while.
What's a little while?
It was no more than like 2-3 months.
Okay. When did she tell you she was pregnant?
She told me she was pregnant around about April.
What did she tell you?
She came up and told me that she was pregnant, and I told her that, how could you be pregnant when, we've been using, protection. And then...
Who was using the protection?
I was.
Did you see her during her pregnancy?
No.
Did she call you when the baby was born?
Yeah, she had called my mother's house. She had called me at the time that she was in the hospital and kept telling my mom for me to come up there to see the baby.
Did you go up to see the baby?
No, ma'am.
Why not, Mr. Stevens?
Because I felt as though that the baby, wasn't mine, and I just didn't want to go up there.
Did there come a time when you went to see the baby?
No.
Did there come a time that you were notified that they were taking some money from your paycheck?
No, the only time I found out is whenever I got a letter from her going down to the courthouse.
When did you go down to seek child support?
The beginning of 2003.
How old was the baby?
He was 6-7 months.
Is there any reason you waited to seek child support until the baby was 6 or 7 months old?
Yes. He at one point did come and we were talking on the phone and said that he would like us to be together, that he wanted us, the three of us, to be together, that he felt that that was his child. At the time I had finally met somebody else and I didn't want to be with him. And after that, he wasn't coming around, he wasn't doing anything. I needed to go for child support.
Now, Ms. Stokes, how much money did you receive from Mr. Stevens after the court fixed a child support order?
A little over $800.
Is that right, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Stevens, I'd like you to tell me how ultimately this mystery was unraveled and you determined that this child was not yours.
Well, the job that me and her used to work at, there was people there telling me that, she was up there saying that the baby wasn't mine.
So you heard from sources that this child might not be yours, but you already knew that, Mr. Stevens.
Yes,
I mean, you already knew, based upon your use of protection, that there was at least a possibility that this child wasn't yours, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, there was already a child support order in place, Mr. Stevens, is that right?
Yes.
Now, as an old family court practitioner, I know that you were served with a notice to appear in the family court on the issue of paternity, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't go,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why not?
Well, at the time, I was having a problem with my other 3 kids. And by that time, I was practically scared to go to the court.
You were scared to go to the court because?
I figured that I might have had a warrant or something like that.
Because you weren't paying child support?
Yes, at that time, because I wasn't working that much.
I'm glad you added that much. If you're going to make all these babies, Mr. Stevens, then you better get a lot of jobs.
Yes, ma'am.
Not work part-time. If you work part-time, you got all this energy. So you decided to blow off court, and they issued a default judgment against you, declared you to be the father. If you had gone to court immediately and said, listen, I want a blood test, they would have taken a blood test and they would have said, you're off the hook on this one.
But at that time, when I wanted to get a paternity test, I even talked to her about it. She kept telling me that they's not going to be able to do it, and you might have to pay for it out of your pocket.
Better off paying for it out of your pocket, sir, a couple of $100 than pay for the 21 years, right?
Yes.
You can't be short-sighted. You don't have any children together?
No.
Do you have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
3.
So between you have 6 children?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that enough?
Oh.
Plenty.
Plenty, right? Plenty. 6 children. Now you're working full-time?
Yes.
It's good. What kind of work do you do?
School bus driver.
Well, you must like children. Okay. How much did they take out of your pay, Mr. Stevens?
$842 altogether.
$842?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Stokes, did we finally come up with a daddy for your baby?
Yes.
Is there a paternity proceeding pending, or has one been
No.
finalized?
No.
Why not?
So I have no idea where he is, and I don't want to pursue it because he's my son and he's my world, and I'm going to take care of him regardless.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $842. Thank you.
Why does that excuse Miss versus Starry? Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Ms. Danilova, it is your claim that the defendant purposely damaged your car by throwing a coffee mug at it, which caused it to dent and something to crack. The defendant says he absolutely did that.
Yes, I did.
And he says he's got a good reason. So I have a few questions to ask you. I gather that you people really don't know each other.
No.
But you live in a house that's in a cul-de-sac, and you have a friend that lives in that cul-de-sac, whom you visit frequently.
Well, not anymore.
Well, you used to.
Yeah.
How old are you?
19.
And you've been told before by people that live on the street that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that a fair statement?
No.
Have you ever been found guilty of driving at an excessive rate of speed?
Yes.
Where?
Freeways, mostly.
How many speeding violations do you have?
Since I had my license.
So I assume that you were driving before you had your license. You're not going to tell me that. You're going to tell me after you had your license. How many speeding violations have you had?
I think like 7.
7?
Yes.
So it wouldn't be beyond a reasonable person's imagination that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that right?
Right.
So why don't you tell me what happened on the day that Mr. Starry threw a coffee mug at your car?
Me and my sister were driving to pick up my friend. As we were driving by Mr. Starry and his friends, I don't know, my windows were up, so all I heard was just a bunch of yelling, and I saw a bunch of people outside on the sidewalks in the street.
So that there were people out there. Were there adults and children?
I saw adults, mostly.
Or maybe you were going too fast to see the children.
No. It's the cul-de-sac that they live in. It's really hard to speed because it's on a curve, and there are cars
Most
parked.
cul-de-sacs are on a curve. That's what a cul-de-sac is. It's a curve. Goes around.
Well...
So you went to pick up your friend, and what happened after you went to pick up your friend?
While we were in her house, some ladies came up to the door, said, you know, she was speeding, you know, slow down, and I acknowledged that.
So you acknowledged that you were going too fast?
Yes, I listened to them.
Why did you do it?
I mean, I wasn't speeding like going 30, I wasn't going over 35 miles an hour.
35 miles an hour is not what you do in a cul-de-sac. Then you left. In the car. You were driving. Is that right?
Yes.
And what happened?
As we were driving by Mr. Starry, something was thrown at my car. It bounced off, and that's when I stopped the car and got out to see what was going on.
Did you exchange words?
Yes, we did.
What were the words?
Well, he was just yelling at me to... I don't know if I could...
Slow down.
Well, he was just yelling and screaming and getting in my face. He didn't say it politely.
Okay. I'll hear you.
Your Honor, on the day in question, I was inside my house when she came into the neighborhood, and my wife and 2 neighbor ladies went to the door and knocked on the door and asked her to slow down. What they reported to me was they laughed and slammed the door in their face. When I heard that...
That sounds right.
When I heard that, I got irritated. When she backed out of her driveway and screeched her tires to come up the cul-de-sac, without really even any consideration, I stepped out in front of her and threw my coffee cup at her car.
Can I say something about what he said?
Sure.
That car could not screech tires if you tried because it's a Corolla and it was an automatic. When the ladies came up to the door, it was my friend's mother who actually opened the door. And I don't think she would slam the door in their face.
Did you
She
laugh
came
at
up
her?
to us saying, there's ladies outside saying you guys were speeding. We're like, well, okay.
Is that what you said, like, well, okay?
Well, my friend came up to the door to talk to them, and they were just yelling and screaming, saying, you're speeding, you're speeding.
And you said, well, okay.
I said, okay, I understand. You know, what else am I supposed to say?
Okay. Now, would it be a fair statement that prior to this incident, you would go and pick up your friends pretty often?
Almost daily.
Now, after this incident, would it be a fair statement that you don't go to pick up your friend anymore?
Yes.
No.
Shh, 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 just a second. I'm sorry. That you don't go there every day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't go there every day anymore because you're frightened to go on that street.
No, I don't go on that street anymore because he constantly harasses me. I've had this whole summer.
So that you are frightened to go on that street because he harasses you. And you're afraid what might happen.
Yeah, he's threatened me before.
Not before this incident,
Not
you
before
said.
this incident,
no. Afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be fair to say that as a result of him throwing a mug at your car, you don't go to pick up your friend anymore.
Yes, you can say that.
So you accomplished your purpose. Is that right? Just answer my question. So you accomplished your purpose. You don't have to worry. Just listen to me. You don't have to worry about her as you did previously.
Now it's that way, Your Honor, but it wasn't that way until after, I would say, June or July.
Fine, but then you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Is that
but
right?
I finally had to take her to another court for attempting to run me over in the street.
But now she doesn't come back.
Finally, yes, and I'm happy
Perfect.
with that.
Now, I absolutely think that each of you should bear a certain responsibility with regard to this incident. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Good. I'm awarding you $1. The rest of it's your fault. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That dollar thing was totally uncalled for.
I'm happy.
I did what he wanted me to do. I stopped coming over there. I stopped speeding.
I'm happy with that. That's what I wanted.
And now the next case.
All parties are Laram versus Huth. Step forward, please.
35-year-old teacher Susan Laram is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 29-year-old Mason Ron Huth, for unpaid living expenses and damage to her car.
Ms. Laram, the complaint that I read said that you lived with the defendant for about a year and a half.
He lived with me.
He lived with you. And that you no longer live together. The breakup was acrimonious, and he owes you for a variety of things. He owes you for rent. He owes you for damage he did to your car at one point. And he owes you for smashing up some work that was done in your backyard.
Yes.
When did you start living together?
In June of 2000.
And what was the rent arrangement?
At that time, he was supposed to help me out with the bills, and he didn't do that. So after some arguing, I had him put it down in writing.
That sounds romantic. Can I see that, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Laram is suing former live-in boyfriend Ron Huth for unpaid living expenses and for damaging her truck in a fit of rage. Ron says Susan tried to make off with his children's car seats.
Well, this is dated May of this year.
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out a week after that note was written.
Okay, so this writing is meaningless. You were fighting at the time. I want to know what your arrangement was from the time he moved in until May of 2001, because that's when he moved out.
Right.
Did he contribute any money to the house?
No, he did not.
According to you, Mr. Huth, you gave her your paychecks.
Every paycheck that I made from the time that I started living with Sue, and to make sure the record is clear, I only lived with Sue for 5 months before we got into our first argument, which you would say, where we had our first breaking up. I moved out on November 29th of 2000. All right, that was my birthday. There was an incident that happened that
All right,
night.
we'll get to that incident because that has to do with car damage that she's claiming.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's get to the fact that you say you turned over all your paychecks to her during the 5 months that you actually lived together. Is that accurate, Ms. Laron?
It was, but then he also took all the money back out of my account.
Well, how did he take the money back out of your account?
He had my check card, and that was how he deposited his check, but then he also, in turn, took out all the cash.
Well, if he's putting his entire paycheck into the bank, just pay careful attention. He's putting what he earns into the bank. So he has to clearly take out some money for himself to live on, to go to work, to do whatever he has to do, to buy clothes, etc. Now, if you're telling me that he's using your checking account as merely a way of getting his own money back and he wasn't contributing anything to the house, that's a different story, because that would be sort of like using your bank as a check cashing service. But if the two of you are using your checking accounts and you can't manage your bills, and that's what you were fighting about, you can't come to court later. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, do you have any such record from the bank indicating that he was using your checking account as just check cashing?
Not with me.
Well, this is the place to have it. So that deals with the issue of rent. Now let's get to this car issue. You say in October of 2000 he purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We were in a fight over the phone bill because the phone was shut off because the phone bill was not paid. And I was going over to my girlfriend's house to get away from him because we were arguing. He jumped on the hood of my car, and as I drove by trying to get him off of my car, he jumped off and smashed the mirror.
Now, what's your version of that event?
Well, ma'am, it isn't in October because it happened on my birthday. I came home late from work that evening. I had planned to do something with Sue. Prior to that night, though, she had told me that her and her daughter were going to go over to a friend's house and spend the evening.
You had been fighting, I assume, over money.
Actually, no, the fighting was not actually about money. What I was more angry about was she burned my birthday dinner, She burned my birthday cake.
I mean, she burned it on purpose.
Well, she was so busy, what I think, and I'm not sure, but I think she was so into the fact that she was getting ready for her evening that she forgot about it.
So she burned your birthday dinner.
Right. I came home, and she told me that she was just going over to a friend's house the night before to have some drinks, which turned into, I'm going to a wine tasting party. This is my birthday, November 29th.
Should have been, just a minute, should have been a clue.
Should have been a clue, you're right. You're right, Your Honor.
So what happened?
Well, she was leaving. We actually got into a very big argument. My children were actually there. I then told Sue when she was going out to her vehicle that I needed my car seats because I knew that there was going to be an altercation when she got back from the store for making a
car
phone
seat
call.
To the children?
They were in the back of her Blazer. I then followed her in the garage. She got into her vehicle. She locked the door and turned the radio up so I couldn't speak. I walked around behind the vehicle. I stood there, and I did not move. I told her I was not getting out of the way till I had my car seats. She began to back over me. I moved out of the way. I followed her down the driveway, and then I stood in front of her vehicle, and I said, all I want are my children's seats so I can take them back to their mothers. That's it. You know what? That was the end. She would have stopped the vehicle, got out, and gave me them. It would have been over.
Okay.
All right? I then proceeded. She started to move. I jumped up on the hood, and I laid on it. Very wrong for me to do. Put myself in very much danger. She began to accelerate down the road with me on the hood of the car. Okay? I slid off the side on the driver's side. When I hit the ground, she gunned it. And you know what? I can't just say what exactly happened. I know that the mirror was damaged. It was ripped off the vehicle. I was hit here in the shoulder. She drove around the corner, got out of her vehicle, and yelled every obscenity that you can imagine at me because her mirror was busted.
Did you get the car seats back?
No, never did. She took off.
That is not true.
He seems pretty clear. He acknowledges the fact that he jumped on the hood of your car and that the mirror was broken. So,
the incident in question happened October 7th, which is a Saturday. And as far as his birthday dinner, it was not burned.
But my question to you about this car incident was that this happened in either October or November of 2000. And he left, but then he came back.
Right. He did not leave until December.
Fine. Now, when he came back, did you talk about the car?
Yes. I asked him when he was going to repair it, and he got some glue and tried to glue it twice, and it didn't work. So I did ask him to repair it, and he did not.
When did you ask him to repair it?
Right after it happened.
You lived together in January, is that right?
Yes.
Did he fix the car in January?
No.
What about February? Did he fix the car?
No.
March?
No.
April?
No.
And then we go into May.
Right.
Miss Larome, not everything is a lawsuit, madam. He describes an incident where you took off in a huff and you had his children's car seats in the car. Did that ever happen?
Yes, that happened. But after he knocked the mirror off my car, I took the car seats out and threw them in the yard. So he did get them back.
Well, why didn't you give them back before?
I didn't realize they were in the back seat of my car. That doesn't make it right for him to jump on the hood of my car and break my car mirror.
Absolutely not. You were driving off with his property. And you knew you had his property in the car.
I
You were
did
very
not
angry.
know.
You were very angry. People do things when they get angry. And if you had said, well, I may have been angry, but you had no right to put yourself on the hood of my car, even though I was taking off the property that belongs to you.
Right. I was only going up to the store to use the
Who
phone.
knows? Who cares? He wanted the children's car seats.
Right.
He'd had a fight in front of the children. He wanted to take the children home. It's all a fight. Not everything involves a lawsuit. You behaved badly. He behaved badly. And when you took the car seats out and threw them on the lawn, that also was not the right thing to do.
You're
right.
You're right.
Okay. So take care of it like grown-ups. Now let's get to the backyard. You say that you had a major argument in May of this year and that he destroyed the backyard. His defense is that he built the backyard so he could destroy the backyard. Is that your defense? So let's hear about the backyard.
As part of a present to me, he built brick planters in my backyard around the deck. I have photos if you'd like to see. And because of the argument that we had that day in June, he destroyed all of it.
I did that, Your Honor. I did.
All right. Did you, in fact, build this brick planter box for her?
Gotcha.
Or you were in the process of building? It doesn't look like it's completed.
It wasn't complete yet, but almost.
As a gift?
Your Honor, yeah, it was a gift. It was also the part of like the deck that I built. It was all something to work out for flowers and stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the other stuff that I do have a list of things in the course of the time that we're together that I did build in this house.
Can I see it, please?
And around the yard. And I never asked for one penny for any of this when I left. And this is my own hard-earned work, myself, my labor of bringing these materials home from work for this lady. And it was because I enjoyed her and loved her very much. And that's why I did that.
Let me ask you a question. Did he build a playhouse in a shed?
I have a photo of that too, and it is not a playhouse or a shed. It is a big monster that is in my yard.
Did you tell him to take it out? Did you tell him to stop building it when he was building it?
No, he just quit building it. So I have that in my yard.
Okay. Did he build a doghouse?
He put a roof over the top of the dog house.
He said he built a doghouse, and then he put a roof on the dog kennel.
Right, for his dog.
Did he build a deck?
Yes, that's in
That's the whole back deck?
Right.
Didn't break the deck?
No.
What about a brick fire pit? Did he build that?
Yes.
I see that you did work around the house, and you were building things around the house, and you do have a deck, correct?
Yes.
You had no right out of anger, sir.
I know.
To smash the work that you did.
You're right, I did.
And so what this involves is cleaning this up.
Right.
How much do you estimate it's going to cost to clean up the bricks?
I talked to his former employer, and he said to clean it up and replace it would be $3,000.
No way. He made a mess. He got angry and he made a mess, and he should pay for that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
While I was wrecking it, the officer came into the yard. He asked me what I was doing, and I said I was wrecking something that I spent a lot of good time building for this lady. And you know what? Out of anger, yes, I destroyed it because I was very hurt with the way how things were going.
Well, is it still this
All right.
way?
I told the officer I will come